Gridwalk, all the twists and turns of the 2024 F1 season. Join Cam Van den Dungen and Carl Reindler every Sunday, right here on SEN.
Paul Francis onto it, busted away, steady, straight and go!
We have got the finish to beat all finishers.
Welcome to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Yes, the AFL AAMI Community Series does continue tonight from Alberton Oval. Good evening and welcome. Matthew Cox sitting alongside Josh Jenkins on AFL Nation for McDonald's. The new McCrispy at Macca's is back. The captains are heading towards the middle to take care of the toss. Connor Rosey there for the first time wearing the number 1. Alex Pearce alongside him. And JJ, which end are they going to kick to? Because you've graced this field on at least one occasion, you were telling me.
I've had a run around at the mighty Alberton Oval. I think they've picked up some new headlights since I was last there. So this will be a good contest. Both teams, I guess, with only one officially unofficial dress rehearsal. You want to really put your best foot forward and take that into the season because, as we know, opening round zero, however you want to phrase it, the season, even though you may not be taking part in opening round, the season is here. It's upon us. So both sides will be very eager to put, a nice performance. It doesn't matter who wins and who loses at the end of the day, but there'll be a heap of guys, older guys, want to feel good about themselves and say, well, I've had the perfect prep. And young guys, this is their best opportunity to say, well, I'm in the team, I'm in the 23, find someone else to leave out of the team.
And there's queries at ends of the ground for both sides. For Port Adelaide, how does their forward line function with all the talls? Both ruckmen in Ivan Soldo and Jordan Sweet, new to the club, they're into the team tonight as well for these extended squads of 30, and also the key defender acquisitions that they made during the off-season. And for Freo, the queries are there or thereabouts as well. Have they strengthened the midfield? What does their forward
game
line
style
look like? Can they recapture the form of 2022? We're not going to get all the answers tonight, but hopefully we can give you an insight. It's Port Adelaide and Fremantle from Alberton Oval as the AAMI Community Series continues on AFL Nation. We're underway. Sean Darcy won the tap down. Rosey, though, lane came first. And he gets it to McEntee on the edge of the centre square. Short ball to Marshall. Nice transition already from the centre clearance inside 50. Soldo! Well, there's an early indication. He flew amongst the pack. Took a nice chest mark directly in front, 30 metres out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you can endear yourself to the Port Adelaide faithful, and this is the Port Adelaide faithful, whether they're Magpies or Power at heart. This is the Port Adelaide true supporter base here. So this would be a great way for the big guy to start his career in the black, white and teal, and to be honest, he should be able to kick this one straight over the goal umpire's head as he makes his way in ever so slowly, carefully over the footy, the big fella,
and delivers superbly.
No problems.
So Port Adelaide on the board, 1 straight 6 inside the first 2 minutes of this pre-season match at Alberton Oval tonight. It's hovering around 23 degrees. There is a bit of a breeze which is pushing towards the outer side of the ground, which I feel, without being a local, JJ, that's the kind of characteristic of this venue.
Yeah, for sure. It's still very much a suburban football ground, home of the Port Magpies in the SANFL, and it's fine work from Soldo. He contested the opening centre bounce of the game and really dashed hard forward and probably caught Sean Darcy by surprise. Darcy's probably going to say to him, mate, what's going on? Just take it easy. We don't need to be doing that early in the game. But the big man lines up against Darcy with one on the board. Port have got one straight. Fremantle yet to score as the umpire bounces the footy for the second time. Soldo up, but Darcy just gets in between them. Sarong's got it. Rosey, the new skipper's got him, and we'll have a secondary ball up, and players will come from here, there and everywhere to congest it. Darcy gets it down, probably got away with a high against Soldo. Ball's in dispute again, and Rosey doubles his tackle total with another one. So just a couple of repeat stoppages, something we're trying to get out of the game, but team's set up too well for that. Sarong gets it, had it pretty much 30 times a game last year. Gets it again, gives it to Fife, who's playing up around the footy. He handballs it backward to Hughes. He gets taken down by Willem Drew. He is a fantastic tackler, Coxie. He was preferred in the middle over Ollie Wines at different stages.
Had an AC joint during the pre-season as well. Injury, I should say, as Houston feeds it to Rosie, having an impact early in this pre-season encounter. The kick long to the top of the 50 is intercepted by Pearce, who was in front of Charlie Dixon. Pearce flicks it short to Ryan. Half-back on the broadcast side. Fremantle trailing by 6 points. Hughes takes the mark between centre wing and half-back as Freo assess the path forward. Down the line, Hughes elects to go, Radigalia greeted the footy, couldn't take the mark, and then Jones was dispossessed. Free kick to go the way of Taberner for the Dockers. Hesitates, thought he wanted to go, now he's hesitant on the mark. Eyes darting this way and that. The kick didn't clear the player on the mark. Fell into the lap of Sarong, who hoists it inside attacking 50. The contest fell over. Off hands. The quick little handball given away by Patrick Voss. It's then dribbled through by none other than Michael Walters. He gets his first goal of the year. And Fremantle even the ledger. 1 straight 6 apiece on the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre expert scoreboard.
A little bit unlucky, Port Adelaide. Certainly Josh Tracy looked like he'd given away a free kick in that ruck contest. He just shoved Zerk Thatcher into the contest, took out Alir. I like the work of Radigalia up the ground, Coxie. He didn't take the mark, but that's how he's going to play. He's going to come and meet the footy. He's going to try and read the ball, and more often than not, he'll make those plays count. So a bit unlucky there, Port, but Michael Walters, as he's done for much of his career, kicked the 33 goals last year. He finds a way to get his first for the season, even though it doesn't count.
Yeah, no, it doesn't count, apart from getting confidence. Nice to also see Patrick Voss involved there for the Dockers as well.
Indeed. He's a nice recruit, son of a gun. Darcy grabs it out of the ruck, gives it to Fife. He kicks it wide to half forward. Not sure why teams don't go direct from those situations. Sturt's able to grab it, handballs it back inside. O'Meara, who started forward, kicks it straight up and down. Has no luck. Port Adelaide able to get their hands on it. Rosie's in and amongst the contest. Lays the tackle. He's third already. And we'll have a ball up dead centre, smack bang on centre wing. The rucks go at it. Darcy again almost grabs it out. It's able to handball it to Sarong. He's had it 5 or 6 times, but he kicks it into the Port Adelaide Bowls Club. Coxie.
Yeah, the turf doesn't look as luscious as what it does on Alberton Oval. Looks very dry.
It's a little dry. They've been using all the water on their footy oval and have forgotten about the Bowls Club.
And now they've finally retrieved the footy. That's real local stuff. As Zerk Thatcher, ball in hand at half-back. First time we see him in Port Adelaide colours tonight. He dishes it short to Burton. Still at half-back on the broadcast side. They try to switch now to Radigalia. Takes the mark inside defensive 50, but they found a way to the outer side. Bergman. He's hemmed in, though, and has to retreat back to Radigalia, just on the edge of the defensive 50. Short to Alir. Spins the Sheeran in his hands. Port Adelaide trying to find a way forward. He elects to bomb it long in the Dixon direction. Had Pearce for company at ground level. Burn-Jones. Was it a clean disposal? No, it wasn't. Hayden Young to get the free kick.
Young tries to move the ball quite quickly. He's able to spot up a target at centre wing. It's Sturt. He kicks it wider to O'Meara. A couple of uncontested marks in a row. Kicks to Walters. Lands a metre in front of him. Almost the worst thing that can happen to you as a forward. You find a little bit of space, the ball lands a metre in front, hits him on the quad and goes out of bounds. So we'll have a throw in about 60 metres around from Fremantle's goal. Just under 16 minutes remaining here in the first term. It's been a decent enough start. Darcy takes front position against Soldo, wins the hit out. Travis Boak's able to get his hands on the footy, gives to Rosie in a bit of space. Creative as ever, is able to find Butters, the 1-2 punch that Port fans will be keen to see. Butters takes a bounce, kicks it inside 50, but cut off beautifully by Pearce. He didn't take the mark, though, so ball's at ground level. Pearce has got it. Burn-Jones has got him. Willie Rioli's able to flick it out. Wines gets on the end of it, kicks it inside 50, but it's a 1v4 in favour of Fremantle. Todd Marshall does a good job able to keep it inside the contest. And Port will get a ball up where they'll probably outnumbered, and you would have expected Fremantle to have cleared it, but they'll take a ball up here, put Fremantle under a little bit of pressure. Dixon hits it out to Butters. He looks to kick it back inside to Marshall. He's unable to mark. Willie Rioli's onto it, as is Fife. He handballs it out, but only as far as Bergman, and we'll have another ball up.
Trapped in by Matty Johnson for the Dockers as Dixon palms it down. The Dockers with a quick kick away, but it's going to stop there because at half forward, Dan Houston's taken the mark, and we know he's within range, JJ.
Fine player, this guy. Very good player.
He elects at the last minute to hook it across to the other half forward flank to Brandon Zerk Thatcher.
Of all players.
He's never kicked a goal in his 51 AFL games, and it won't count towards his career total tonight. But somehow the former Essendon defender, now at Port Adelaide, is having a shot for goal at left half forward. Scores a level as Zerk Thatcher comes in. It was not a bad-looking drop punt that faded to the left. A minor score, 1-1-7 Port Adelaide. Leading Fremantle 1 straight 6 for Ty Power. Get the power and tackle road safety. I reckon that's one of the few occasions we're going to see him have a shot for goal, JJ.
I don't think we'll see it again. No. Jordan Clark brings the footy back in, kicks it long to the outer side. It's all Power, though. It's all Power. And Ryan Burton has been a good player for Port since moving across from the Hawks. Reluctantly moving across from the Hawks. Takes the intercept mark. He kicks it sideways to Houston, the man that Port always want the ball to be in the hands of, was an All-Australian last year. He chips it back inside to Ratugolea, who's going to have a really important role. He kicks it on the ground, makes Travis Boak have to do, makes Rosé have to do a little bit of work. Rosé kicks it around the corner, hoping for a contest in the half-forward flank. The ball goes off hands and out of bounds, and we'll have a throw-in right in front of the Port Adelaide headquarters, where the boys go about their business from Monday to Friday.
It looks brand spanking new as well, after being under construction for a couple of years, as Darcy wins the tap from the boundary throw-in. Fife is caught by Wines. Got the handball to Sarong. They've got their way out of trouble, Fremantle, with a kick to the wing. There's some holding, though. A free kick will go the way of Port Adelaide. And Ratugolea, who's impressing in his first outing. He did play last week in the match simulation, but this is under somewhat official conditions, so we can say it's his first outing tonight. Goes towards the half-forward flank on the outer side. Darcy couldn't complete the mark. Dixon found Bergman by hand, who was up against the boundary, and a wild shot at goal. Goes out on the full. And it'll be a free kick the way of the Dockers inside defensive 50. It's been a congested start to the game. Neither side can really get it beyond the halfway point, can they, JJ?
Yeah, been very sloppy thus far. That's a good mark, though, taken by Taberner. We know he's a fantastic contested mark, but he's going to have to fight for his spot. Josh Tracy looks preferred. Certainly Jai Amos is their number one forward. So Taberner, who's a veteran these days, is going to have to fight for his spot. He kicks it long down the line. Darcy was in front. Ollie Wines did a good job to get that to ground against the big man. Bangs it on the boot, and McEntee is able to take the mark. He'll look to bang it inside forward 50, give the big boys a chance. Ollie Lord's caught at the back, but he creates a spill. Rioli picks it up, but the ball's smothered. And O'Meara looks like he's able to get back to defence and help mop it up. He kicks it outside defensive 50 to Tracy. He can't take the mark. Boat picks it up. Picked up by Fremantle. They're able to just scrap it forward. Still with Fremantle. Hayden Young is a man you want the ball in the hands of. He's able to run over the 50 and just dribble it into the post. So it looked like it was going to be an old school super goal. 9-pointer, bag of footies for the junior club. But Hayden Young, and that's what they want to see from Hayden Young and Jordan Clark, run, carry, light the game up, make it exciting and make the game a little bit easier for their forwards.
Particularly when there wasn't a conventional pathway there. They had to rely on chaos there, Fremantle, and Nelly worked for him. Dixon almost took the mark between centre wing and half back on the outer side. Has to gather, did well, and then gets the kick down the line to Bergman. Still defensive side of the outer wing. Scores level at 117 apiece. Inboard to Farrell. Didn't complete the mark, but got a hit over the head on the way through. Short to Jones following the free kick. Jones now goes even shorter to Wines, who spins around, sells a bit of candy to get around Switkowski. Inside attacking 50. Lord got a hand to it, pushed it into the path of Jordan Sweet, who we get a glimpse of for the first time tonight. Ball over the boundary line and out of play as Sweet exits forward 50 quickly. Who's going to take the ruck contest here for the
Charlie
power? So they're going with Dixon inside attacking 50. So we monitor how they're going to utilise these two new ruckmen, Port Adelaide. Fremantle couldn't clear the vicinity. Horne-Francis takes it at half-forward broadcast side. A dodgy kick to Allaire, who made the most of the opportunity. Found Burton by hand, who hoisted high into the sky. Fades across the face and through for a minor score. Port Adelaide regain the lead by a point.
Well, if there's one place in Australia that Jason Horne-Francis won't get booed, it's Alberton. And if anyone tries to boo him, they'll have some physical issue.
Have they got any ice baths in that new facility?
Well, I'd say they do. Hopefully he's using them. Clark kicks it back inside, or brings it back into play. Free kick will go to Taberner. He's been able to play in front. He's taken one nice contested mark. He wins himself a free kick there at half back, setting himself up as the key target from the kick in. He chips it to Aish, who just says, I'm going to go. Willie Rioli gets him in a tackle, but he gets boots of balls, able to kick it up to half forward. He actually gets on the end of his own ball there. He then sees Johnson kick it to half forward. Taberner, who's worked really hard to get back inside their front half. The ball's banged inside 50 again. All Port Adelaide. Nicely gathered by Mead. He's able to find a teammate, and Port Adelaide will get the release.
Only momentarily, though, as it's taken by Pearce, who goes short to Clark at centre half forward. He unloads. It lands top of the goal square. Zerk Thatcher couldn't complete the mark. Taberner had to get rid of it quickly. Switkowski couldn't lay claim to it. In close quarters was Voss. They come inboard to Hayden Young, who tries to settle things down. We'll go back on a 45-degree angle. 45 out from home for the Dockers.
This is a very... it's not a messy game, but it's just a bit clunky. It's a bit hard. It's hard work.
There's no rhythm.
No, there's no rhythm. They're not in sync at all. But Hayden Young, we saw him have a running shot for goal from a similar position. This time it's going to be a set shot. Walters is looking for a handball. He needs to nick off. Young comes in from 48, kicks the ball beautifully, but it just slides across the face, and we see that breeze take effect. It certainly is going to the far side of the ground, and that ball's bashed over the point line. 1-2-8 apiece.
As Fremantle have created an intercept inside 50, Switkowski took the mark after Port Adelaide. They weren't messing around with it, but it's again that indecision that's... It's not a result of pressure as such. It's just there's no gaps on the ground for them to go, and Switkowski was in the right spot at the right time, directly in front to take the intercept mark.
Yeah, he's looked good. Switkowski's created a few opportunities for them, and he'll play an important role with no Lockie Schultz there anymore. So see if he can kick truly.
2 quarters in the match simulation last week for the Dockers. He comes in pretty much directly in front, starts it to the right, uses the breeze perfectly to the left, and Fremantle have their second goal of the evening. 2-2-14 plays 1-2-8 for tyre power. Your trusted tyre experts. You're listening to AFL Nation tonight for McDonald's, the new McCrispy. Try it today at Macca's. But as we've remarked, JJ, it's not the cleanest game of footy, and there's a little bit of pressure out there. Both sides doing well to prevent the other gaining any territory, but it's not immense pressure. And as we saw with Hayden Young about 10 minutes ago, if you can get some speed into the game, you can break it open.
Yeah, certainly. It's the best way to describe it is it's a pre-season game of footy at the moment. That's
be
exactly what we're seeing. We're not seeing an incredible level of intensity, but I think both teams are just working their way into this contest. So Fremantle 2-2-14, Port 1-2-8. The ball goes up again. Sweet gets first hand on it. Hayden Young, who started in that centre bounce, he's able to get the centre clearance, but the ball goes wide. Runs in front of Walters, who gathers it nicely. Looks to move one way, then the other. Kicks the ball back inside. Hits a target in Reedy. He gives it to Clark as a handball receiver. Kicks it deep inside the Freo forward 50, but Ryan Burton comes forward, meets the footy and takes a great intercept mark in front of Josh Tracy. So the Port defenders certainly keen to take best position, which often is front position. Burton kicks it to the wing. Hayden Young, who is playing genuine on ball at the moment, handballs it to Clark, who gets it forward to McDonald. Oscar McDonald, who's been a journeyman in the purest sense of the word, Coxie.
Yeah, there's no other way of really describing it. Fullback of the year in the VFL last year, now finds himself as a delisted free agent on the Fremantle list. Inside attacking 50. Walters was appealing for a free kick for a deliberate out of bounds. He's not going to get it, even though he tried multiple times to convince the umpires. As we throw it in, just inside attacking 50, broadcast side for the Dockers. Just under 7 remaining in this first term. Sweet found his way to the front and wins a free kick as a result in the contest against Reedy. No Luke Jackson tonight in concussion protocols following the match simulation last week for the Dockers, so he's one of the big names that's not out there for Fremantle tonight, as Sweet goes high and long and straight down the throat of Oscar McDonald, who is in some respects pushing a case for a spot in that back six for the Dockers, with Brennan Cox, who's been out for a majority of the pre-season with a stress fracture in his fibula. Short here from McDonald to Brayshaw, who loads up inside 50, and Aliir, he gobbles them up every day of the week. He takes the intercept mark in defensive 50, but again is hesitant on the direction to go. Jace Burgoyne, first time we see him wearing the famous number 7 of his father tonight. Bounces the ball towards the wing. McKenty takes it on the half volley, gave the handball to Burton, hemmed him up against the boundary line, goes down it, searching for Ollie Lord, who muscled his way in front of the Dockers captain and wins the free kick. He kicked 4 goals in the qualifying final, too far out on this occasion. Searched for Marshall inside 50, couldn't complete the mark. It dribbles over the boundary line and out of play. Not the cleanest passage of play we've seen of the night, but it's getting better.
It's getting there. The game's getting there. We're just going to have to be patient, Coxie. It is getting there, but certainly the breeze is playing a little bit of havoc. The Port defenders are reading the ball best at the moment. The ball's thrown back inside forward 50 at the other end of the ground for the Power, and we'll get a repeat ball up as Lord and Rioli apply a very fine tackle. A heap of numbers around the footy, as we always see when the ball's thrown up or thrown in inside forward 50. Wines gets it, gives it to Farrell. Rioli off one step or no step, just bangs it high. It's up there forever. Marshall reads it unbelievably well against Oscar McDonald. Takes a mark at the top of the goal square. 14 metres out. That was a fine mark. Ball hung forever.
Not from the groves of kicks from Willie Rioli. No. I reckon he wanted it to go left. He copped the belly of the Sharon and it went high and fortuitously found its way into the lap of Marshall.
It did. So Todd Marshall, who recently signed a big long-term contract for plenty of cash, comes in. He usually does this part of the game beautifully, and he makes no mistake. He bangs through Port Adelaide's second goal of the game, his first, and we're all tied up 2-2-14 apiece. Just under 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter, and 2-2-14 late in the first quarter feels about right.
It does. It's, as we've summed it up a couple of times, it really is blowing off the cobwebs tonight. We'll get a look of Zach Butters on the bench.
Looks half asleep.
The extended bench.
On the bench.
For Port Adelaide. How long's he? Well, he's been on there for 12 minutes.
Oh,
so no wonder he's looking a bit...
Just wondering whether he's got his right boot on there or not. He's got anything on his... Does it look like his foot's...
No.
I see tape but no sock.
And is that a bit of plastic? I can also see...
So there might be some concern there.
Yeah, right ankle on Butters, who did reach for the phone just as the replay screen panned away back to the action. Back in the middle. All level, 14 apiece, 5 to Young. Will we get used to saying that in 2024? Walters ran past it, creates the opportunity for Farrell, finds Rosie, flicks the handball into space, gobbled up by 5, handball too hot for Johnson. McKenzie on the spot, found Wines, who goes to Houston, the looping handball to Burgoyne, who goes with another looping handball, was hoping to receive Evans at half forward. Boak there for company. It's going to come back for a high tackle, though, and a free kick will go the way of Francis Evans, former Cat.
Yes, former teammate of mine. I liked the opportunity. When he got opportunities, he had a couple of games where he kicked goals. He was dropped after kicking 4, in fact, late in the season, was then brought in late, so that might have been funny buggers, but he's a nice shot for goal.
He certainly is. From beyond 50, just it's off the side of the boot. And the commentator's curse, JJ.
I haven't even started officially commentating and I've already been able to stop him.
And you weren't even doing that passage of play either. That's your first one. AFL Nation for McDonald's. The new McCrispy at Macca's as the Dockers bring it back into play.
Alir again comes to meet the footy. Fremantle at ground level. Brayshaw, whose 2023 season was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't the year that he'd had previous, so he'll be hoping to get back to those lofty standards. I've enjoyed the move of Hayden Young around the ball. That's been one obvious change early.
And what you just said there for Brayshaw was symptomatic of Fremantle in 2023.
Yeah. It was. Horn Francis, electric at ground level, gives it back to Houston, who can't get much of a boot on it. Burgoyne, who looks exactly like his old man, is able to just scrubble one inside forward 50. Oscar McDonald's more than happy to see it run across the boundary line, and we're just getting a replay of, there we go, Zach Butters, just a little outside roll of the ankle, the right ankle, so he's got ice, I think, on that right ankle, and we won't see him again tonight, so frustrating for him, but he'll be okay.
As Marshall trying to interrupt the passage of play from the restart, 5 caught in all sorts of trouble, found Pearce by hand, gave it off very quickly for the Dockers. Johnson, a high ball. Offhands to Voss, who releases Sarong on the outer side, who's brought down in a crunching tackle. In fact, that was Sturt who was trying to be released. Farrell wrapped him up, wins the free kick, centre wing, outer side. And the flags in the background indicate that this breeze is going very heavily towards that outer side of the ground. Jones takes the mark at half back, unopposed. Straight up the corridor he goes with the kick in the Dixon direction, over his head. Rioli pushed it into the path of Soldo, found Burgoyne. Geez, there's some wild shots for goal so far. That one also coming off the side of the boot, just scraping in for a behind. Port Adelaide regained the lead, 2-3-15 to 2-2-14 for Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts.
Ball to be brought back into play for Fremantle. Another long kick to the corner of the square, which seems to be a new trend for AFL teams. They're less willing to go wide. Brayshaw picks it up at ground level. Handballs it to a teammate who makes no attempt. That teammate was Matthew Johnson, who looks a nice type. Darcy gets it down from the ensuing ruck contest. Fife's been busy at ground level. Burgoyne's had some moments. Soldo almost paused as he went to handball to Wines. Rosie ends up with it. Gets a little bit of leverage, bangs it to the goal square. Willie Rioli goes up. He's supposed to be crumbing. He decided, I might try and sit on the pack. He got a little bit of leverage, a little bit of air, but couldn't take the mark, and the ball rolls out of bounds beside the behind post.
Well, we got an update from Port Adelaide as well. Right ankle sprain, no further part, out of an abundance of caution.
He'll be sore, but he'll be okay.
From the Port Adelaide Footy Club as The quick kick from Ryan dumps it outside defensive 50. Solo crashed the pack, crumbed his own ball. His kick was smothered as he tried to launch it inside 50 for Port Adelaide. There's numbers around the footy as they try to extract it. Working his way through was Evans. Still no clear passage. Pearce bumps Boak heavily, then couldn't dispose of the ball legally, but wins the free kick. And some relief in defensive 50 for Fremantle, although the kick let him down. Getting out of trouble, Oscar McDonald. They work it okay. Sarong has it back pocket out of side for the Dockers, who trail by a point. Under a minute left in this first term. The kick outside of defensive 50, cut off by a very aerial Jason Horne-Francis, who takes a deep breath and ponders. And still wears the Kangaroos mouthguard, the blue and the white. It might be a South Adelaide one, but the blue looks too blue for mine. He bangs it inside forward 50. The ball's bashed over the boundary line by Ethan Hughes, and we'll have a throw in. You'd think only Port Adelaide can score. Just getting a look at that contest from Alex Pearce at ground level. He ends up getting a free kick. He's very lucky not to hit Travis Boak in the head. That is certainly a contest that he's glad to get away with. Dixon competes in the ruck. Boak's over the footy, and the umpire says, I'll have it. 20-odd seconds remaining. Seen a heap of forward 50 stoppages for Port in this first quarter. There's a heap of players around the ball. Dixon just swipes it with the right hand, and we'll see another stoppage in the forward pocket for Port. Coxie, you have a go at clearing the footy. Gee, thank you very much. Reflecting back on that bump, though, from Pearce,
he's very lucky.
That's the kind of decision-making we're trying to eradicate from the game.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Thrown in, Darcy taps down to 5. Feeds the handball to Ryan, who skips it away towards some vacant grass on the outer side. O'Meara runs onto it, gathers, hoists it further afield towards Walters. Couldn't complete the mark, got all crossed up. Horne-Francis gathers but runs out of time as the siren sounds for quarter time at Alberton Oval. Port Adelaide with a 1-point lead. 2-3-15 plays 2-2-14 thanks to Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts. You're listening to AFL Nation for McDonald's, the new McCrispy at Macca's. Matthew Cox and Josh Jenkins with you tonight. We'll review the first quarter on the other side of this.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's. Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
Here's another top tyre tip from Tyre Power. We all love a good road trip. But before you go, make sure you run a few safety checks. These include overall tyre condition and tread depth. Plus, make sure your tyre pressure is right for the load you're carrying. If in doubt, give the experts a shout at Tyre Power. Visit tyrepower.com.au or call 13 21 91 for your local independent owner.
Have you ever wondered what it's like for someone to move to another country where there's a foreign culture and a foreign language?
You've got no concept of what you should do, what you shouldn't do, where to go for help.
What's something we should consider when reaching out to people of other cultures and backgrounds?
It's very simple things like just actually saying hello to someone or engaging in a conversation, no matter how awkward it is.
I'm Jo Chamberlain and you're listening to Messages of Hope. If you'd like more on this topic, go to messagesofhope.org.au.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. When National Tiles Trade Club members need an urgent delivery, we get it to them within 2 hours absolutely free. Yes, National Tiles Trade Club members get urgent deliveries within 2 hours absolutely free. So if you're a professional tiler, join the National Tiles Trade Club now for massive savings on tiles, adhesives, grouts and tools, and now free urgent deliveries. Conditions apply.
Real people, real products, real fun. No matter who you are, Sexyland has something real sexy for everyone. With Australia's biggest range of sexy costumes, lingerie, couples toys and fun gifts and games for adults. Sexyland. 11 stores in Melbourne and Geelong, open till midnight 7 days a week. Or shop online for 2-hour delivery. Sexyland.com.au.
You wouldn't operate a chainsaw blindfolded. You wouldn't ride your dirt bike blindfolded. And you wouldn't walk on your roof blindfolded. Yet too many people dig without searching before you dig online first. Because if you don't search first, you're digging blind. Avoid high-pressure gas mains and high-voltage electricity cables every time. Search before you dig online every time. And never dig blind.
The Easter long weekend is calling, and gearing up for your DIY project has never been easier. Because whatever your task over Easter, Trojan Tools are up for the job. With a broad range of quality tools at DIY prices, backed by a lifetime warranty. So whether you're on the campsite, in the garage, out in the garden, or fixing things around the home, Trojan Tools have you covered. Trojan, tools built tough. Available in-store or online at Bunnings Warehouse.
Introducing the all-electric 7-seat Kia EV9. Silence never felt so loud. Visit kia.com.au to find out more.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's.
Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Nice transition already from the centre clearance inside 50. Soldo! Well, there's an early indication. He flew amongst the pack, took a nice chest mark directly in front, 30 metres out, and delivers superbly.
No problems.
So Port Adelaide on the board, fell into the lap of Sarong, who hoists it inside, attacking 50. The contest fell over. Offhands the quick little handball given away by Patrick Voss. It's then dribbled through by none other than Michael Walters. He gets his first goal of the year, and Fremantle even the ledger. One straight 6 apiece. And the ledger was pretty much all square for a majority of that first quarter as we welcome you back to AFL Nation and our coverage of the AAMI Community Series. Continuing tonight from Alberton Oval, where Port Adelaide hold a 1-point lead. 2-3-15 plays 2-2-14. Matthew Cox alongside Josh Jenkins tonight, and it's really a case of everyone just going through the motions, making sure they've got a feel of the Sharon. That's what we're gauging from this contest. It's not going out 100% intensity, and at the moment there's no real gauge of game plans or any sort of insight there, because for a majority of that period it was hemmed at one end of the ground or the other.
Yeah, we try not to, and we shouldn't take too much from most pre-season games. We should take nothing from what we've seen thus far. Certainly some of the recruits for both teams have played well, in particular the power. Soldo's been busy, kicked the first goal of the game. I've liked what Radigali has done. Zerk Thatcher has been okay. I've loved Fife around the ball, 10 touches, most on the ground. He's a midfielder. I think they're well aware. Forget the forward stuff, just let him hunt the footy. I've enjoyed Hayden Young around the ball, similar to Christian Salem. We saw that Wednesday night with Melbourne, him moving around the ball, just getting those guys with a bit more zip and a bit more pace around the ball.
Yeah, looked very lively when he was on the move, Hayden Young, and he starts this second term inside the centre square along with Nat Fife as Darcy wins the tap over the top of Soldo. Wines is going to get a free kick for a high tackle in the centre circles. A couple of Brownlow medalists combining And the centre circles at Alberton Oval. High ball from Wines inside 50. Geez, the seas parted for Marshall. He just didn't get there in time to complete the mark. It was hitting the turf just. You'd have to go to the third umpire in cricket if we were reviewing that, as the whistle blew from the throw up and Darcy infringed and has given away a free kick to Charlie Dixon. So the interesting takeaway for me from this, JJ, is that they're using the ruckman up the ground and using Charlie Dixon inside 50, which I don't know how that's going to work when we get things underway and we've got limited numbers or more limited numbers on the bench. As Dixon lets fly, goes across to the left and actually held up in the breeze as well. Marshall fall of the footy. It's being put through for a behind before it got to him, though. So now a 2-point advantage for Port Adelaide for Tyre Power, your trusted experts. But it's an interesting one to ponder, I think, for Port Adelaide with how they're utilising their big men tonight.
Yeah, it will be interesting to follow that throughout the early part of the season. Ryan bangs the ball back in to play. Bergman handballs it just haphazardly. Rosie gets it, kicks it inside 50, but Alex Pearce, the skipper for the Dockers, reads it beautifully, and he goes quickly, kicks it long to the outer side. A genuine one-on-one, and Lockie Jones will win himself a free kick. He's a fine young player. Just a genuine 1v1 win against Michael Walters, who hung on to him. Kicks it inside, not far enough, but Dan Houston bangs it inside forward 50 for Port. Dixon's up, didn't get first hands on it. The ball's spilled to a power youngster who kicks it over his shoulder. It looks like it might have been McEntee. And that was a fine finish from him. It was a nice contest from Big Charlie. He was about to claim the mark. He didn't get first hands on the footy, but certainly McEntee was in the right spot at the right time. Small forwards, front and centre, Crum. It's what you're taught when you first start playing footy, and he was in the right spot at the right time. It was a questionable handball from me, but McEntee doesn't care. It's 6 points, and it's 3-4-22 to Port Adelaide. Fremantle 2-2-14.
32 games, 19 goals under his belt, and has certainly become a familiar part of that Port Adelaide front six, forward six, as they get away now to an 8-point lead. 3 minutes into the second term, AFL Nation for McDonald's. The new McCrispy. Try it today at Macca's. Back in the middle, Darcy down to Sarong. He went right, then wanted to go left. Then went right again and wound himself up into all sorts of trouble. McKenzie wins the footy. High ball towards centre half forward. Pearce underneath it. Couldn't complete the mark. At ground level, Burn-Jones emerges with it. Flicks the handball to Rosie, who's killed it too much. Although that had to have been intentional on reflection, because Rioli was running into space in the left forward pocket. And Rosie put too much curl onto it as Rioli comes through and makes no mistake. And Port Adelaide have 2 quick goals in this second term to skip out to a 14-point lead. But it was just clever vision. And well, that's taking scouting to a whole new level, JJ. There's an armchair on top of what looks like a garden shed.
Yes.
Which would have to be used for some sort of storage at this facility.
Yes, a middle-aged man has set up his deck chair, his outdoor deck chair, on the roof of his garden shed, which overlooks Alberton Oval. So he hasn't had to pay to get in, which I think it's free anyway. But he's got the best seat in the house. He's very relaxed. He's happy with himself. I think he can see that he is on TV. And the only thing he hasn't got, Coxie, is a stubby.
And he's got the table folded down on the side. He's definitely not utilising the armchair to its full extent. In full Port Adelaide kit as well.
Yes.
And now the better half's just seen him on the TV and told to get him down.
Ball goes up. Rosie's first onto it, coughs it up to Sarong, bangs it inside forward 50 for Fremantle. But again, and I think this is what we'll see, Coxie, Radagalia and Alaire either could have taken the big mark. It was Asava who took the mark. His kick's not great, though. Fremantle can't intercept the footy. Brayshaw it was who got first access to it. Ball runs out of bounds and will be thrown in again right in front of the brand new headquarters for the Port Adelaide Football Club, the MG High Performance Centre. It looks spectacular, and I'm sure the power players are enjoying it as well. Soldo and Darcy go at it. Darcy takes front spot. Rosé, the dynamic midfielder that he's become, is able to handball it, but to no one really into the corridor. There's a scrimmage. Wines is over it. Sturt's over it. Hayden's over it. No one can really grab the footy at all. It ends up with Walters. Willem Drew sits on him and will have a ball up.
Reflecting back on Radigalia, the flexibility that he now creates for that Port Adelaide defensive group.
It just allows Aliir to take a more preferred opponent. It's a big acquisition for them.
As Young emerges from the contest, skies it towards goal, and he's found the middle. 2 goals for Hayden Young. And Fremantle find their third of the night to trail by 8 points once again. 4-4-28 plays 3-2-20 for Tyre Power. Get the power and tackle road safety. It was the ruck work of Soldo, but he just read it beautifully, Hayden Young. Rosé was caught napping. He found some space and just whacked it on the boot. And it sailed through for the youngster who is making an impression in this Fremantle midfield and maybe providing it with a bit more dynamic than what we saw in 2023.
I'm all in on this. I didn't see their game last week, the unofficial game, but I'm all in here because he adds the movement and the speed around the footy. So I'm enjoying what he's doing thus far. Soldo goes up, gets first hand on it, but Brayshaw sharks the footy. Johnson's able to win himself a free kick. Willem Drew takes him high, just behind the centre circle, and Johnson will send the footy forward. He did kick the ball sideways and backwards a lot last year, but Johnson's able to kick it to half forward where Sean Darcy's been able to make position. I think Michael Walters will be pinged for a block or a shepherd here in the marking contest. Trying to take Asava Radagalia's body out, and Radagalia wins himself another free kick. He kicks it backwards to Farrell at half-back, the designated kicker, who does what he does best. Spots up Willem Drew at half-back. He goes short, finds Burton, who feigns to give it back to him. Plays on, kicks it sideways to Burgoyne. Just a little bit of tempo footy for Port, which is something that all teams try to have in the kit bag. He kicks it long down the line to Dixon and Pearce. Horn Francis is front and centre. He's able to get onto the footy first, gives it to Burton. He gets it to Jones. He puts it out in front of Willem Drew, who goes to ground. Pearce picks it up, cops on around the chops. Probably should have got a free kick for it. And Willem Drew jumps on him. Pearce, who was in a headlock for quite some time, doesn't get a free kick. The umpire says, I'll have it.
Second year as captain for Pearce. He's being pivotal tonight in defence as Burgoyne gets his head ripped off and wins the free kick, wearing the number 7 in 2024. The kick let him down, though, to Burton, gave it back to Burgoyne, who hoists it inside 50 off hands. Rosie found trouble. Mead, McKenzie, Boak, can't escape trouble. Ball spilt free momentarily. Clark all wrapped up, going nowhere, ball up. Inside attacking 50 for Port Adelaide. Dixon doing the ruck work with Darcy. Darcy the tap to Brayshaw. Kick smothered at ground level. McKenzie hunting, gets brought down by Aish. Horn Francis over the top of the footy, going nowhere. Another ball up. Port Adelaide by 8 points. Travelled 9 minutes. Second term for Tyre Power. Darcy just got a hand to it as he was shoved off. Brayshaw found some space. It's collected, though, by Burton, who pokes it into the pocket. Ball racing towards the boundary line. It'll go over in front of Ollie Lord, and it'll be a boundary throw in deep inside attacking 50 for Port Adelaide. There's these lights at Alberton Oval, which they only have to be a year or two old given how strong they are and how new this precinct is.
Looks fantastic. Burgoyne tries to win the footy, gets it to Horn Francis. They've got possession of the footy. Burton kicks it out wide into the pocket to the former skipper Travis Boak. Tom Jonas took a turn in between. Ollie Wines had a crack as skipper. Travis Boak, one of the all-time greats of the Port Adelaide Footy Club. He sits up there with their very own Corn, Warren Treadray, longest serving player in their history. This will take some kicking from the Bowls Club. He kicks it beautifully, but it's going to drift. It does just find its way inside the left-hand goalpost. Travis Boak, a big smile on his face off a couple of steps. The traditional drop punt. He's got the black eye already, but that was beautiful. That was an absolutely spectacular drop punt from just outside the boundary, and he'll struggle to kick a better one than that throughout the entire 2024 season. Yep. Beautiful goal.
Keep that on the back pocket on the replay. Couldn't have used it much better. The Breeze playing a little bit of havoc, and he gave the thumbs up to the Little Port fans that were gathered behind him.
That's why we play these games at Alberton and Norwood and Icon Park.
Although you're not a fan of the air conditioning at Icon Park, I've discovered.
What air conditioning?
That's exactly right.
Still sweating.
5-4-34 plays 3-2-20 for Tyre Power. Your trusted tyre experts back in the middle. Reedy now doing the ruck work for Fremantle. Sarong, it was a bullet handball that's created some opportunity for the Dockers. Long inside 50. Alir with the fist from behind. Brings it to ground level. Burgoyne in a bit of trouble. Found the handball out, but in traffic, collected by 5. He darts his way around traffic. Loads it up inside 50. Front spot though, Zerk Thatcher takes the intercept mark and then goes with a risky one to McKenty, who's in the heart of defensive 50 now for Port Adelaide. He takes the mark and has got no idea where to go. He almost shrugged the shoulders in a bit of disbelief as he eventually found Alir short, who comes further afield to Travis Boak, halfback on the broadcast side. And well, the crowd was doing our experts' commentary there because they said it was a shocking kick, and that's exactly what it was. Out on the full, free kick to Clark.
Need to get him on the payroll because it was accurate. I'll explain why we see more sliced kicks.
And he had a brilliant drop punt moments ago, and that's his second kick for the year, and it's let him down.
It has. That's his third. He bangs it outside of defensive 50. No one really goes for the footy. Port end up with it. It's Burton who off one step bangs it forward. Oscar McDonald's in prime position, but Ryan picks it up at ground level, gives it back to McDonald, who looked a little bit like a deer in headlights, but he finds Jordan Clark, who is willing to kick it backward 20 metres to Alex Pearce just to get control of the footy. Whenever the teams pick up the footy at ground level, they are saying find a mark, which gives them the ability to control the game. Pearce kicks it to Walters, still inside defensive 50. Slowed down again. Kick to a genuine 50-50. Johnson gets it at ground level. Willem Drew picks it up off the ground, kicks it inside forward 50 for the Power. Ryan gets it at ground level, handballs it to a teammate who gets it back to Walters, who's spending some time picking up possessions inside D50. He kicks it long to the wing. A nice hit on from Reedy, who is a ruckman. Now Fremantle have got some numbers here. They're able to move the footy through Voss. Taberner's got it. He just tries to bang it over his shoulder. Can't. Rioli smothers the footy. Willem Drew picks it up, and Port Adelaide might be away.
On the outer wing, the ball bouncing inboard, taken by Lord. Flicked the handball to Rosie, who was retreating ground and now is gaining some. Kicks towards centre half forward, where the mark is taken by Burton.
Now,
Farrell rather.
Evans. We've got a, I'm rubbing off on you, a moment as Evans looks to kick it deliberately to the top of the goal square. Thought he'd have a shot, but he didn't. Rioli gets the lucky ricochet, kicks the easiest of goals, and he's got a couple, both in this term. Rioli, right place, right time, and sometimes as a forward, that's the best thing that can happen to you. I thought Francis Evans would have a shot, but the breeze is a little tricky up that end of the ground, and there was an innocuous fist thrown at the footy, and the ball ricocheted straight to Willie Rioli. Connor Rosey certainly showed some of his class there, setting that scoring shot up, but Rioli's got a couple. He's looked dangerous enough. But the footy, so these yellow footies, they're smaller, they're quite pointy, they're hard at each end of the footy. The players slice them so much because they're a little shinier. they're not as fat. The red balls are just a little bit more of an oval, a genuine oval shape or a balloon shape, whereas the yellow balls are very similar to NFL balls. Don't ask me why, but that is a fact. Coxie?
There goes my next question. You've just made it redundant.
Why? Everyone is asking why.
5 caught in the middle. Brayshaw couldn't extract it. Drew dives in to stop any further proceedings. A ball up on the edge of the centre circle. So margin's now out to 20 points in favour of Port Adelaide, and they've slowly crept away. It hasn't been all out dominance. Horne-Francis found Drew by hand, flicks it wide to Burgoyne, uses Farrell running past, long ball inside, attacking 50, Lord flew, couldn't complete, Rosie kicks it over his shoulder, made the goal umpire work, he returns to give the all clear, and Connor Rosie, the new skipper of Port Adelaide. Well, there's one for the highlight reel as well. Port Adelaide now out to a 26-point advantage on the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts scoreboard. But he does that so well, JJ.
Yeah, unbelievable goal. He looks a class above basically everyone out of here. But the contest from Ollie Lord, sensational. Make no mistake when they go to show that bit of vision on Monday, and I'm sure they'll show the goal from the new skipper kicking it over his head. But the contest from Lord, running back with the fly to the ball, turning his body and just causing that spill. That's why I like him so much. You can see that competitive nature about him. He's athletic, he's a great size, and he created that goal for his new skipper, and he does look fantastic at the moment. Rosie, as the ball goes back up, Wines wins it out of the centre clearance, gets it outside the square but not inside forward 50. Ryan picks it up, handballs it backward to his teammate who's under all sorts of pressure. McEntee is able to get it to Mead, who gives it to Horne-Francis. He kicks it out wide, doesn't quite find his target in Bergman. He's able to go and gather it at ground level, kick it inside forward 50 to Willarioli, who all of a sudden looks like one of the more dangerous players on the ground. He's got 2 in this quarter, and he'll line up for his third. It won't be easy, but he will have the breeze, just trying to caress that footy into the teeth of goal here. So Coxie, he's got to be some chance.
We're just starting to break things open, Port Adelaide. They are looking the premium of the two sides now. They've fully gained traction.
Rioli comes in for his third, kicks it low, across the face, believe it or not. Kicks it against the breeze. Ollie Lord and Oscar McDonald compete on the ball. So from around 30 metres out, the ball actually didn't make the distance. And Luke Ryan, who's an accumulator of the footy by disposals and marks, will bring it back into play.
So 27 points, the advantage for Port Adelaide. Short ball to Warner. For Fremantle in the back pocket on the broadcast side. He loads it up down the line, was searching for Taberner, who got shoved out of the contest. Burgoyne flicked the handball to Burson, who wobbles it inside 50. Warner with the fist pushed it into the path of Sharp, who goes towards the outer side, and Fremantle have some room to move. Kick towards half forward. Jones got a fist in front of Sturt, pushing it towards the boundary line. Sturt kept his feet, then got brought down by Radaglia. Ball over the boundary line and out of play. We throw it in between centre wing and half forward on the outer side. It was great defensive work there from Jones to get the spoil in from Sturt.
The hands out in front to try and mark the footy. Sean Darcy, too big and too strong for Jordan Sweet, which is saying something. He's able to get first hands on it. The ball's smothered. His kick is smothered by Horne-Francis. The ball spills to Aish. He transitions the ball out wide to Johnson, who kicks it inside forward 50. Sturt competes with Jones. Walters handballs it back over his head. Scrappy kick inside forward 50. Switkowski is able to tackle Farrell, who's taken the ground, and will get a throw up inside, just inside forward 50, deep in the half forward flank for Fremantle, who trail by 27 points. 8 minutes to go here in this second term. Darcy lays it down beautifully. Brayshaw's tackled a little bit without it. Sweet picks it up. Haphazard handball. Jones taps it to Burgoyne. He's got the socks kind of pulled up. Evans is able to get his nose over the footy. Wines is involved as well. They run over the ball, though. Aish picks it up. They're coming back the other way. He kicks it inside forward 50. It lands a metre short of Taberner and Zerk Thatcher. Houston taps it forward. Switkowski onto it. He's elusive. Handballs it back to Young, who's already got a couple. And Young thumps through his third. The former half-backer, the defender, has got a lethal left foot. He kicked one from a similar spot earlier in this term. A really rushed snap at goal, but that one was even better. Switkowski started it. A nice handball to Young, and under immense pressure, that ball just carried and carried and carried, and he's got 3. Port Adelaide 7-5-47, Fremantle 4-2-26, and who'd have thought Hayden Young's got 3 out of their 4 goals?
Well, guess how many goals he's got for his career, JJ?
Less than 3.
Yes, 2.
Well,
and none of these
still got 2.
He's still got 2 because none of these are official, but he's looking very, very dangerous as part of this midfield mix for Fremantle. And they break a run of 3 goals that they'd had kicked against them. And that passage of play that they generated was going against the flow as well. Aish with the intercept, threw it back inside 50 and resulted in the Hayden Young goal, who's in the thick of things here. He'll lean on Sarong for support, receives the handball, wants to take the advantage, and that is accepted. Inside 50, it's let him down. Zerk Thatcher read it best, takes the intercept mark, flicks the handball off quickly to Burton, who's been prominent in this second quarter. Straight up the middle, McKenzie back to Burton, who kept running from 52 metres out. It's going to land at the top of the goal square, and Pearce juggles the intercept mark. Virtually last line of defence to stop the Port Adelaide attack. It's a very short kick to Clark, who's about 25 out from his defensive goal. He goes long towards Tracy, knocked away from him by Houston, into the lap of Marshall, who hoists it in the Rioli direction. Couldn't get to it quick enough. Fife mopping up for the Dockers. They use Aish by hand, and now Switkowski zigzagging through traffic towards the outer side. Jones met it first, but it bounced away from him in the end. Fremantle with numbers, although thrown off the footy was Johnson. And he'll win the free kick at half-back on the outer side for the Dockers, who trail by 21 points for tyre power. Your trusted tyre experts, Matty Cox and Josh Jenkins with you tonight on AFL Nation for Maccas.
Another Matthew Johnson kicks it wide. Walters ends up with it in front of the Port faithful on the outer side, and they'll give you a mouthful. Take it from me. Fife ends up with it. He's been busy.
Even with your great game there at Alberton Oval.
For the Sturt Double Blues. Fife bangs the ball as far as he can. Doesn't land inside forward 50. Darcy competes. Horn Francis dynamic as ever. Handballs it back to Sweet, who bangs it on his boot. It goes as far as Wines. Fife gets it again. Johnson, who's been busy. This man's been probably one of the best players on the ground in Young. He handballs it back to Johnson in the pink boots. And Alia mops it up. Takes a very, very well-judged mark. A contested intercept mark. Almost one of the most important stats in footy. And he kicks it sideways to Dan Houston, who looks to bring it across the ground. Decides against it, kicks it 11 metres to Burton, who gets called to play on, and because he was called to play on, he throws it on the left boot and kicks it straight to Voss. Straight down his throat.
Spent 2 years on the Essendon list, didn't play a game, was their best and fairest in the VFL though, Patrick Voss.
Former Sturt, speaking of the Sturt Double Blues, he was dominant for the Double Blues. Bangs it as far as he can, and it's going to go all the way from outside 50. I was waiting for that ball to land at the top of the goal square, but certainly Patrick Voss has got a hefty right boot on him, and as they should, the boys get around him. His first goal in a Fremantle jumper. He was in the right spot at the right time and kicks it from 50.5 metres out on a night where kicking hasn't been at its absolute best. He bangs that through beautifully. So clearly, he's a nice kick of the footy. And Fremantle just bridged that gap ever so slightly. 7-5-47 the power. Fremantle 5-2-32. 4 minutes remaining here in the second term.
20 years of age, 17 games in the VFL last year, 30 goals he kicked to be Essendon's VFL best and fairest, but a lot of people were surprised that they got rid of him, the Bombers. It was back in the middle, Sarong's taken to ground, almost got the handball cleanly to Brayshaw, who's also wrapped up, going nowhere, ball up. And as a supplementary selection pick, Voss gets an opportunity at the Dockers. Horn Francis, his kick smothered from the restart. Dockers, though, with numbers. Young bounces it towards half forward, taken by Alir, who was caught by Sturt. Free kick advantage paid for Fremantle, inside 50, holding. Free kick to go the way of Port Adelaide. And it'll be Asava Radaglia, who is looking at home in that key defensive spot.
Yeah, he's causing some issues for the Fremantle forwards. Josh Tracy's given away 2 or 3 free kicks. He's a big boy, Radaglia. Tracy is as well, but...
Well, he's hardly been sighted tonight, though, Tracy.
Unsighted, don't think he's touched the footy yet. Connor Rosie's got the ball. He's had the ball heaps. Kicks it out wide, almost out on the full, but Bergman's able to take the mark. He brings it back inside to Farrell, who goes from one side of the ground to the other, back to Radaglia, who's under a little bit of pressure. He's able to kick to a 1v1. Ball's on the ground. Alir's after it. Unable to pick it up. He picks it up now, but he's tackled by a couple of Dockers. Willem Drew can't grab it. Brayshaw is able to get it inside forward 50. Taberner's in the right spot, but a very timely fist from Kane Farrell, able to get it over the boundary line and out of harm's way, because, in fact, it goes through for a behind, so even better. Farrell's able to go and collect the footy and bring it back into play, but he's added that defensive element to his game. Kane Farrell, certainly a great kick, we understand that, but played as a deep lockdown defender last year and did a fine job, and he'll bring the ball back into play.
Long ball towards Burn-Jones, who's on the edge of the centre square, the defensive side of it, Port Adelaide. He lost control of it, though, had another crack, and then decides to wrap up Brayshaw. Has another crack, Burn-Jones, and gets caught high by Young. So a free kick will go the way. He did a lot of endeavouring there and finally got some reward, Darcy Burn-Jones, who again looks to be playing up forward, which was a move that was made early last year successfully for him. Darcy Burn-Jones made his name off half-back and found a new home last year. Goes wide to Farrell, who loads up long inside 50, hoping for Rioli to fly. He got a hand to it as it goes over the boundary line and out of play, and will be thrown in inside attacking 50 for Port Adelaide, who are 7-5-47, leading Fremantle 5-3-33 for tyre power. Get the power and tackle road safety. 2 minutes remaining in the first half of this Community Series match. Knocked down into the path of Rose. He ran into all sorts of trouble. Brayshaw caught him, and there was no escaping for the new Port Adelaide captain. He gives away a free kick inside defensive 50 for the Dockers.
It was a good tackle from Brayshaw. Rosé is typically hard to tackle, one of the more elusive midfielders in the competition. Brayshaw bangs it down the line. Radaglia meets it. Waltz is out the back, able to gain possession. He handballs it back inside to Aish, who's under immense pressure. Burn-Jones tries to tap it down. Boat gets on the end of it. Handballs it to the ruckman, who wants to handball it in Soldo. He gives it to the designated kicker in Houston. Marshall up, can't take it. McEntee's been in the game a lot. Puts it on the outside of his right boot and squeezes it to the face of goal, where it is intercepted by Hughes. Anti-climax. It was shaping beautifully, but just didn't quite have the journey, Coxie.
No, and would have been a ripping goal. We've seen a couple of them this quarter as Radaglia takes the intercept mark, attacking side of the outer wing.
It's been prominent, hasn't he?
He has.
Radaglia.
And he looks as though he's relishing this new opportunity that he has at Alberton Oval. Long ball, Soldo through his grass. Marshall couldn't get full purchase on the kick. Ryan sweeps the handball across the face of goal. They work it to the broadcast side where young Cooper Simpson takes the mark. The pick 35 from last year's draft, their first pick, Fremantle. And looked promising last week in the glimpse we got in the match simulation, and it's his first legitimate touch. Well, I'll say legitimate, but not really, because we've still got a couple of weeks before the season will get underway for Fremantle. He coughed the kick up to Lockie Jones. Inside 50, Rioli flew, couldn't complete the mark. Pearce had to hurdle the pack, couldn't clear it. Coughed it up. Burn-Jones brought down without ball in hand. It's Messi inside attacking 50 as Bergman goes to ground. McKenzie can't escape the traffic as Brayshaw wraps him up on the siren. It got very congested in that final passage of play. No one could break clear. Port Adelaide did, though, in that second term. They got out to a 27-point advantage before Fremantle responded and have closed it back to a 14-point margin. 7-5-47, Port Adelaide leading Fremantle. 5-3-33 for Tyre Power, your trusted experts. You're listening to AFL Nation for McDonald's, the new McCrispy at Macca's. Matthew Cox alongside Josh Jenkins will review the first half of this pre-season encounter on the other side of this.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's.
Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
Here's another powerful reason to choose Tyre Power. If you're into getting off-road, get into Tyre Power. We're the four-wheel drive tyre, wheel and suspension experts, which means you get the power of a great range of four-wheel drive tyre brands to suit any vehicle and any terrain. Plus, the expert advice to make your next four-wheel drive adventure a safe one. Visit tyrepower.com.au or call 13 21 91 for your local independent owner.
Luxury Escapes, the world's best holidays, handpicked by experts. Here's your burst of luxury to book now.
Best-selling Pullman Bali Legian Beach. Escape to this beachfront resort and enjoy daily breakfast, nightly cocktails and massages. Pullman Bali Legian Beach. 7 nights from $1,399 for 2 adults. One child under 11 stays free. Valued at up to $2,798. T&Cs apply.
Book at luxuryescapes.com.
Is now your time to have that conversation about selling? Find where you belong with Harcourts.
The kids are growing. Maybe it's time we sell and get a bigger home.
Just what would this place be worth on the market right now?
So, what happens if we go to auction or not?
In a changing property market, to learn what's happening with the value of your home, your local experts at Harcourts are ready to help. When your real estate questions need to be answered, talk with Harcourts. Find where you belong.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. When National Tiles Trade Club members need an urgent delivery, we get it to them within 2 hours absolutely free. Yes, National Tiles Trade Club members get urgent deliveries within 2 hours absolutely free. So if you're a professional tiler, join the National Tiles Trade Club now for massive savings on tiles, adhesives, grouts and tools, and now free urgent deliveries. Conditions apply.
Experience the excitement of Melbourne's newest sporting team, Melbourne Mavericks.
And tickets are now available for Mavericks versus the Vixens at John Cain Arena Sunday, April 14.
Be a Maverick. Strong, fearless, a trailblazer. Tickets available at melbournemavericks.com.
The song Amazing by Alex Lloyd takes me back to our family car trips up to Bright when I was a kid.
Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi takes me back to the very first Bon Jovi concert I went to.
Killing Me Softly by Roberta Flack, and I was very happy to see it get another lease of life later on with the Fugees.
Celebrate the greatest moments in your life with a fixed price funeral plan from Tobin Brothers Funerals. Get to know the team at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
You adapt to the changes in your life, so why shouldn't your home? At Duncan Thompson Home Extension will make it happen.
Duncan Thompson Extensions takes care of everything from the design to the permits to the build. And they're a family business that's been extending homes for over 40 years, so they know what's most important. From concept to completion, they'll plan, design and extend your slice of the world outwards or upwards. It's good to be home.
DuncanThompson.com.au.
Don't miss SEN's #1 athletics show, House of Aths. Thanks to Chemist Warehouse. Join former Olympian track star John Stephenson as he chats with emerging athletes, wellness experts and more as we approach Paris 2024. House of Aths. Only on SEN this Thursday from 9 p.m.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's.
Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Young emerges from the contest, skies it towards goal, and he's found the middle. 2 goals for Hayden Young, and Fremantle find their third of the night to trail by 8 points. Flick the handball to Rosie, who was retreating ground and now is gaining some. Kicks towards centre half forward, where the mark is taken by Burton.
Thought he'd have a shot, but he didn't. Rioli gets the lucky ricochet, kicks the easiest of goals, and he's got a couple, both in this term.
Long ball inside, attacking 50. Lord flew, couldn't complete. Rosie kicks it over his shoulder, made the goal umpire work. He returns to give the all clear. And Connor Rosie, the new skipper of Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide now out to a 26-point advantage.
The Choices Flooring Halftime Floor Show. Design, visualise and create your perfect floor with Room View.
Yes, it is the halftime floor show for Choices Flooring. Discover your style with carpets by design sale. Matthew Cox and Josh Jenkins with you tonight as the pre-season continues at Alberton Oval. Port Adelaide taking on the Dockers. And it's the Power by 14 points, JJ. They got away in that second term out to 27 points, Port Adelaide, but it was more of a creep. There wasn't anything that drastically changed in terms of how the game was being played. Fremantle was able to get a couple of goals late to make the scoreboard a little more respectable, but it's far from an intense contest tonight.
Indeed. Fremantle were just able to get some scores from stoppage, which we know is such a crucial element to the game. Only 3 ways to score in a game of footy: from stoppage, from a turnover and from a kick-in. And despite trailing by a couple of goals, Fremantle in fact kicked 4 of their 5 goals from stoppage, whereas Port kicked only 2. Port did manage 5 goals from turnover, so Fremantle will be keen not to turn the ball over and give it back to them in the second half. But certainly some better signs. I love the work of Hayden Young around the footy. He's looked good around the ball. He's probably no longer going to take the game by the scruff of the neck. He might do it for smaller periods, but certainly he looked good.
Well, in saying that, he's only played 16 games, 16 official games since 2022.
And that's been the issue for him and for Fremantle. So early last year he was trialled as a forward. I called a game where he played exclusively as a forward, and he just doesn't see the game and read the game. A lot of your task as a forward is to predict what's going to happen. It doesn't come naturally to him. His go in life is to be where the ball is and just out muscle and overpower people, similar to a Dangerfield or a Clayton Oliver. So he's been put back in the midfield, but I think understanding from Fremantle's coach's point of view is if we're going to put him back in there, then we need other guys who are dynamic and can run, and Hayden Young can do that. So I think it's a great move and a bit of a bold move, because Hayden Young's been a really good half-backer, running and rebounding and using the ball, but they do have Jordan Clark back there, so I've loved the move. It's similar to what Melbourne have done with Christian Salem, different players, but certainly maximum outcome thus far.
So what does that then mean for the likes of Caleb Sarong and Andrew Brayshaw, who have been dominant in that midfield group for the past couple of seasons, trying to make it their own. That's disrupted that dynamic duo, if you like.
For sure. I think you can, but I'm going to say you can never have too many good midfielders. You'd love to have 5 or 6. And I think the other element is when you're planning, if you're Fremantle, are you really planning and leaning on and relying on Nathan Fyfe? You just mentioned 16 games in 2 years. So maybe you are planning for your midfield to be Brayshaw, Sarong and Young. And if Fyfe's there, that's great. That's a bonus. We saw Joel Selwood and Patrick Dangerfield start on the bench a lot during the premiership year. There's no reason why Nathan Fyfe can't start quarters on the bench. It doesn't really mean anything in modern footy. You're on after 4 minutes. So I think they plan around Brayshaw, Sarong, Young, Fyfe when available. They hope he's available every week, but if he's not, then they're not like, well, now we've got a big hole because we've been relying on this guy. So I like it. And then you add Darcy and Jackson. Jackson will attend some centre bounces as well, and it just looks like a more punchy group. It's not a dour group, it's a punchy group.
It gives them a bit of life, which is what they were lacking for much of 2023. What about the other side of the equation? We've lauded the success of the Yasava Radigalia move. I think we've referenced that enough so far tonight. Zerk Thatcher's played a role. He even crept forward earlier in the game and had a shot for goal. How are you seeing the ruck? That's the curious part of the ground, and also the forward line, how that's functioning for Port Adelaide. That, for me, that's the area of the ground which is going to be fascinating in the early parts of the season. We've seen the ruckman rotate off the bench, and Dixon do a majority of the ruck work inside attacking 50 with Lord and Marshall floating around as well.
There's no doubt Soldo's the preferred ruckman. I think Sweet's just getting an opportunity because they can play extra bodies. So I think that settles that situation. Now, I think it's a fluid situation. If Sweet outperforms Soldo or Soldo struggles, then there's no doubt there'll be a change there. But I think Soldo rucks to start the season. He'll ruck 75-80%. They do look wedded to Dixon, and I know Chad Corns is the forwards coach, got a great relationship with him. So they'll probably start the year with Dixon. We haven't seen Mitch Georgiades, who was on the list, who was named in the squad. I was hoping we'd see him, but he's coming off that ACL. And Finlayson's wearing the tracksuit in the crowd, so he's not playing at all either. So there's some work to be done. Marshall's guaranteed a game until he's not, if you know what I mean. Like, he's a first choice forward, and he's probably their best forward. But there is a world where I reckon they could play Georgiades, Dixon and Lord. If Marshall wasn't performing, why can't you? I don't necessarily think that'll be the case, but they've got options. Sometimes you've got too many options, you've got no options.
Is Dixon too much of a liability, though, to carry as your backup/second ruck?
From a health point of view?
Yes. Because his body has let him down so many times, particularly in the last 12 months, and you can probably go back even further than that. Is it too much of a risk to rely on a part-time ruckman to assist in those duties?
He sits in a similar category to Nathan Fyfe, doesn't he? He's probably been a little bit more durable than Fyfe, but and that's why, if it's me, now, my head's not on the chopping block if it doesn't work out, but I'm picking Ollie Lord in front of Dixon. Honestly, I am. Dixon, I understand, is a bit of a spiritual leader for them, but I'm picking Lord. And I saw this at Geelong when I was there in my first year in the coaching group. Lockie Henderson left, Harry Taylor left, and Sam DeConing came in, and we thought, well, you'd expect there to be a drop-off, right? But you get intangible improvement from young guys. You get energy, and you get other guys who are more inclined to say, well, I've got to help this young guy get better, and they play better. And when it's Harry Taylor there, Harry knows what to do. I don't need to help him. We go about and do our own thing. So, if Ollie Lord's there, is Marshall now thinking, well, I've got to be the main man because Charlie Dixon's not there. Ollie needs my help. And therefore you get not only an improvement from a young player getting better in Ollie Lord, but you get improvement from Marshall, who thinks, well, I've got to be the main man. That's why I would play Lord over Dixon. But certainly there's a lot of water to go under the bridge for Port Adelaide in their forward half.
The beauty for them, though, is that they didn't have these sorts of decisions to make last year because they didn't have the cattle available at either end of the ground.
No, that's right.
Half-time at Alberton Oval. Port Adelaide leading by 14 points. If you're just joining us for the first time today, Geelong defeated Essendon by 12 points earlier, and Jordan Ridley, the casualty out of that match with a quad issue, another one for him.
A repeat quad.
Yeah, so it doesn't look too good. The severity we're unsure of, but that'll certainly be monitored over the coming days, you would suggest. Discover your style with Carpets by Design Sale. Choices flooring at sale on now. We'll take a break. On the other side of it, second half from Alberton Oval with Port Adelaide leading Fremantle by 14 points.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's.
Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
Luxury Escapes, the world's best holidays handpicked by experts. Here's your burst of luxury to book now.
Crown Metropole Perth. This iconic 5-star resort oasis is minutes away from the CBD. Escape with daily breakfast and valet parking. Crown Metropole Perth. 2 nights from only $579. Valued at up to $1,930. T&Cs apply.
Book at luxuryescapes.com.
Here's another powerful reason to choose Tyre Power. If you're into getting off-road, get into Tyre Power. We're the four-wheel drive tyre, wheel and suspension experts, which means you get the power of a great range of four-wheel drive tyre brands to suit any vehicle and any terrain. Plus, the expert advice to make your next four-wheel drive adventure a safe one. Visit tyrepower.com.au or call 13 21 91 for your local independent owner.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. When National Tiles Trade Club members need an urgent delivery, we get it to them within 2 hours absolutely free. Yes, National Tiles Trade Club members get urgent deliveries within 2 hours absolutely free. So if you're a professional tiler, join the National Tiles Trade Club now for massive savings on tiles, adhesives, grouts and tools, and now free urgent deliveries. Conditions apply.
Jaycar's 4-day bargain buys are on now. Power up with a 40-pack of AA or AAA alkaline batteries, now only $13. Buy in bulk and save. 500-watt pure sine wave inverter, less than half price, now just $99. And this is a great deal, a smartwatch for only $30. That's a $35 saving. Plus there's 40% off 4 packs of butane gas cartridges, now just $5.95. Better hurry, as offers end Sunday. Jaycar, tech, electronics and more. Quantity limits apply and only while stocks last.
There are 3 kinds of people in life, Dave.
Yeah.
There's TKD trade members who get trade pricing at Toolkit Depot, same-day quotes, express delivery options and tons of other benefits.
That's us.
Yeah. Then there's TKD club members who get discount pricing, exclusive deals and more.
That's anyone who doesn't have an ABN, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the third kind of people?
Those who don't realise it's free to join, Dave.
Whoa, that's sad.
Become a TKD trade or club member now at Toolkit Depot. Everything you need to get the job done.
At In Place Living, they believe that every Aussie deserves a beautiful home that supports their independence and lifestyle. That's why In Place Living design and develop customised specialist disability accommodation in all categories for people with complex and high support needs. In Place Living values inclusivity, innovation, compassion and choice, and put this into practice when they design and develop fantastic homes for Australians with disability. In Place Living, creating homes for people to create memories. Learn more at inplaceliving.com.au.
Crikey! Save $100 over 5 months on selected Mate Unlimited Internet plans. Use promo code SAVE20 at checkout. Say goodbye to high bills, make the switch to Mate. But wait, there's more. Bundle internet with a Mate mobile plan on Australia's trusted network and snag a further $10 off per month. That's a total bundle saving of $150 over 5 months. No worries, no hassle. Just pure value with Mate. Visit letsbemates.com.au or search Mate online. Terms and conditions apply.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's.
Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Port Adelaide by 14 points as we prepare to start the second half at Alberton Oval as part of the AAMI Community Series, the pre-season matches here on AFL Nation for McDonald's, the new McCrispy at Macca's. We should also point out JJ Zach Butters. He was withdrawn from the match very early with a sprained ankle. It looked like a roll, and out of an abundance of precaution, they've decided to put him on ice very early in this game.
Yeah, which will frustrate him because as soon as he's able, which will probably be in 48 hours, he'll have to go and make up the 11 or 12 kilometres that he didn't get under the belt in the game. So that's probably the most frustrating element. He'll live in the ice bucket or the ice bath, the ice machine that they have these days, and get himself right. But certainly frustrating for him, but nothing to worry about, you wouldn't think.
And looking at the players on the bench, Dylan Williams yet to play a minute so far tonight, so I expect to see him in this second half. And we've also got Banfield, Draper and Erasmus for Fremantle that are yet to impact the game, but we'll probably see them out there in a matter of moments as we restart. Wines was dumped into the turf by Fife and won a free kick, gave the handball quickly off to Horn Francis, who loads it long inside 50. Marshall met the contest. Ball to ground for Boak to Dixon. Lobbed it up in the direction of Rosie. Had Drew running past, who puts it over the top of the goal umpire's hat. And it wasn't messy, but it wasn't bad to watch either, JJ, how they did that, Port Adelaide, and Willem Drew put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, it was a nice finish from Drew. He's got a happy knack of being in the right place at the right time. Typically that is around stoppage, but it was a nice handball from Boak and from Dixon and from Rosie, who, surprise, surprise, set it up. And Willem Drew was able to just get enough angle on that footy to squeeze it under the Fremantle defender's hands, the outstretched hands, and through for a goal. So a nice start for Port Adelaide. 8-5-53 leads Fremantle 5-3-33. Only 30 seconds gone in this third term. Willem Drew's got 7 disposals and a goal. So we're back in the centre after that goal. Soldo goes up, gets hand on it. Reedy's able to get the clearing kick. He started in the ruck in this second half. Tracy meets the footy. Zerk Thatcher's got him. Tracy hasn't seen a lot of the ball thus far. He'll be hoping for a big second half. Soldo goes up, gets a little smack in the chops from Reedy, gets the free kick. Boat takes the advantage. He comes charging off half back, finds Marshall on the hit up. He's got the tape around the head. Rioli's been able to sneak out the back, and it was a nicely weighted kick from Marshall. Handballs to Boak, who kept running. He's able to kick it toward goal and absolutely spray it. He kicked an absolute cracker from the boundary up the other end. That one was quite the opposite, and he scraped it in for a minor. 8-6-54, plays 5-3-33.
21 points the margin for Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts. As the kick goes towards half-back for the Dockers, off hands. Rioli, it was a quick handball to Drew, to Burton, who skied it out on the full. And a free kick will go the way of Fremantle, and Clark, who goes short very quickly to Ryan. Still in the back pocket on the outer side. Dockers trailing by 21 points. And haven't had a great deal of momentum throughout the course of the night. Sharp takes the advantage from the free kick. Bouncing ball on the wing. Now, Patrick Voss wanted it to go out of play. It bobbled on him as he almost turned to vacate the vicinity. And fortunately for him, it eventually went over the boundary line and out of play. So we'll throw it in centre wing. Outer side, Port Adelaide by 21 points.
Ball's thrown back in. Reedy makes nice position in the ruck. Fife's after it. Horn Francis is after him. He dives on the ball. and Sarong dives on him, and probably a little bit unluckily, Horn Francis gets pinged for holding the ball. So the ball goes inside 50 from Sarong. Walters is up, can't mark. Burne-Jones gets the front and centre. He goes to Burton, handballs it to Drew. Burne-Jones gets it back, kicks it long down the line. 1v1, Dixon and Pearce. Pearce has had the better of that matchup. Ryan is able to sweep the footy back to Clark. Clark's able to come open side and find Oscar McDonald in the 21. He kicks it even wider, and that ball is very, very wide from Sharp. Walters actually ends up making contact with the fence / the concrete, and will get a free kick for an arm chop against Lockie Jones. Hopefully Sonny Walters is all good. His career was at the Crossroads not that long ago, but 33 goals last year sees him play on. He kicks it to a 1v1. Taberner almost marks against the Lear. Drew picks it up, handballs it to Evans. He gets it to Burne-Jones. Back to a running, streaming Horn Francis, who thumps it inside forward 50. Dixon's in great position. He finally gets Pearce on his toes. He works him under the footy beautifully, takes a nice big contested one-on-one, and he should go back and kick truly. And it was a nice piece of forward craft, Coxie.
And it was a nice kick inside
Beautiful
50 from Horn Francis. That burst, I reckon we're going to get used to seeing. We got glimpses of it last year, and he broke a few games open, Horn Francis. I reckon get used to seeing it a lot more consistently throughout 2024 with a passage of play like that to Dixon.
The big fella, Charlie, from 25 metres out, directly in front, slams it into the woodwork. I thought, gee, the goal umpire's doing a bit more than necessary, but it was necessary. Big Charlie leaves one out there. He has had some accuracy issues at different stages. Luke Ryan brings the ball back into play, kicks it to the same point of the square they've kicked it to all night on those kick-ins. Ball's in dispute. Mead handballs it back to Houston, often off the back of a contest, ready for a handball receive. He kicks it inside forward 50, and Oscar McDonald, who's done a few good things, takes the intercept mark.
The delisted free agent snapped up by the Dockers after a year in the VFL with Williamstown last year goes short to Sarong, who's at centre half back. For Fremantle, he awaits for an option to come at him, and he elects to go back to Oscar McDonald, who's 10 metres further up the ground. Fremantle trailing by 22 points. Travelled 6 minutes in the third term for Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts, as Fremantle played around with it on the outer side, searching for O'Meara, who got knocked away from him over the boundary line, and out of play it will go on the outer side.
It's been quiet, O'Meara, just looking for his numbers. Only the 4 disposals, so he'd like to get involved in the game more in the second half, as Brayshaw's after the loose ball. Just gets a high tackle, a stray arm from Mead. Mead's not happy with it. Players never are. Brayshaw says, I'm happy because I got the footy. Kicks it back inside on the 45 to Fife, who's moving beautifully, but I think they'll try and manage him at different stages, and he'll need to manage that kick or rethink it, because he's kicked it straight to Port. Houston from outside 50, looking for the roll, doesn't get it. Kicked it from downtown, 60 metres from goal. We know that he can thump the footy. He was looking for the end-over-end roll. It just took the little in-cutter away from the goals and goes through for a minor. It's 8-8-56. Port Adelaide, Fremantle 5-3-33.
1 goal, 3 this quarter so far for Port Adelaide, as Solo impacts the contest on the outer side. Mead to Drew to Houston, back to Drew, who ran into the bump from Walters. Dixon caught flat-footed, found Burne-Jones luckily by hand. Back to Houston, who's on the edge of the centre square and spotted Boak on the outer side. He'll poke it short to Wally Wines. Is at the junction of the 50 and the boundary line. Right half forward for Port Adelaide, under what is a packed, not quite grandstand, it's more of a balcony and veranda kind of setup in front of the Port Adelaide new training facility. Wines elects to poke it short to Marshall, who's on the same angle but a little closer to goal by 20 odd metres. And this still tests to someone who was known as Mr. Accurate 12 or 18 months ago, and last year it just faded away from him a little bit.
At key times as well. Tough shot this one because you're too far out probably for a check side or a banana, and too far out to go around on the left. So regulation drop punt it is for Todd Marshall. Can Mr. Accurate find the middle of the goals? He can. The umpire has barely moved, but he might have moved enough because Toddy's not celebrating and Luke Ryan's got the footy.
Well, the crowd lulled us into a false sense of security.
It did. Not for the first time. The Power faithful trying to con the umpires. Luke Ryan, again, they kick it long down the line. Nothing creative from their kick-ins. Ollie Wines picks up from the spoil. Meads after it. Boakes got the footy. Sarong, such a great ground ball player. Handballs it wide to Sharp. He kicks it back inboard to no one. Dan Houston, right place, right time, takes the intercept mark. Taberner stands the mark, couldn't make the contest. Dan Houston will look to bang the ball back inside forward 50. He kicks it high. It's going to be a tough one to mark. Dixon comes and meets it, can't mark it. Creates a spill though. Hughes has got the footy. Francis Evans has got him. It falls to Burne-Jones, who kicks it round the corner and just misses. Another behind. 8-10-58, plays 5-3-33. A little bit wasteful.
1-5 now for the quarter.
A little bit a lot wasteful.
A lot wasteful.
A lot wasteful.
So it'll be Warner with the kick-in duties for Fremantle. Elects to go to the outer side with the kick. Again, numbers gather around. Reedy brought it to ground for the Dockers. They've got runners. Simpson, the draftee, got collected. Ball turned over. Rosie uses the afterburners to do a hook turn to send it back inside, attacking 50 for Port Adelaide. Hughes with the fist into the path of Dixon, who just tried to bullock his way through. Wines mopping up the spilled footy. It's curled around from the boundary line. Darcy Burne-Jones, the impossible. They'd kicked 5 behinds in a row, and the hardest shot of them all is converted by Darcy Burne-Jones. Finally, a major to see the margin go out to 31 points, game high. 9-10-64 plays 5-3-33. Well, the big bullock from Charlie Dixon, just thinking he can beat the world.
He should be in Vegas getting ready for the NRL opener. He went for the line break. He almost charged through, but was able to get the ball out to Wines, who flicked it nicely back to Burne-Jones, and that was a nice finish on the left foot. Umpire didn't move, and Port just stretched this out to a game high 31 points, and the result's not relevant, but you wouldn't want to see it blow out from a Fremantle perspective.
No, and Burne-Jones is going a bit more with the afro this year by the looks of things.
He is. Sweet's able to grab it out of the ruck impressively. Bangs it inside forward 50. No mark taken. Oscar McDonald's got to turn around, back to his own goal, pick up the footy, which he does. Ollie Lord and McEntee are able to grab him, and we'll have a ball up in the forward pocket for Port. Josh Tracy's been thrown into the ruck. Dixon wins it down to Evans. He's probably half grabbed without it. Ball's banged outside defensive 50 from Fremantle, but that ball's going to go over the boundary line and out of bounds on the full. Might have been insufficient intent anyway if it had have landed short of the boundary, but Kane Farrell doesn't care. He's got the footy, looks for a target. A deliberate kick inside 50. Lord comes up to meet it, can't mark it. Mead handballs it back to Rosie, who slams it on his boot. Dixon competes. There's Port players everywhere, and Ollie Wines, I don't know whether he meant it or not, but all that matters is it's gone from his boot between the big sticks for another goal. And Ollie Wines, the Brownlow medalist, kicks a semi-deliberate goal, runs straight to the boundary line and has a rest.
He could have a Socceroos Guernsey on with the way that he just placed that.
Oh, no, he definitely meant that. I need to give him more credit. I know he's good at water skiing, but he's good at... well, he's not as good as he thinks he is at water skiing, but he's good at soccer as well. So Ollie Wines, the number one ranked player on the ground when it comes to ranking points. He's got 81. And Port Adelaide really start to stretch this thing out. 10-10-70. Plays 5-3-33. So Fremantle, I'll be keen to just kick one or two in the back half of this quarter just to get some respectability on the scoreboard.
8 scoring shots to nothing so far, and it's been hardly sighted inside 50 for Fremantle, although they finally go in that direction, although cut off by Ratugolea, who's been superb in defensive 50, although the kick let him down on that occasion. It bobbled out of the grasp of O'Meara over the boundary line and out of play.
Let's hope. So Radigolea's just stretching the right hammy. You'd expect it to be cramped, but it is a bit early to be cramping, Coxie.
Yeah, it is, and he has had soft tissue injuries in the past, although he's back at that contest, so no real concern at the moment for Port Adelaide. Alier on the end of the chain of handballs, curls it around to Horne-Francis with the socks pulled up high at half-back on the outer side. Port Adelaide leading by 37 points. They've had multiple opportunities to break away in this third term, and they're finally starting to, as now they switch through Alier to the broadcast side, and Zerk Thatcher, another recruit, called to play on, had to do the fend-off, then mucked up the kick going towards half-back on the broadcast side. Horne-Francis endeavoured in a battle with Matty Johnson, and the ball went out on the full off the boots of Johnson, according to the umpire. They're having a conversation to set things up. Is the officiating umpire going to overrule things? There's whistles blowing left, right and centre. As we're focusing on the replay screen on this Ratugolea, who went to ground a little softly. They did end up awarding an out on the full free kick to Horne-Francis, but it went back out on the full as he tried to kick it to Bergman, and it'll now be a free kick to young Cooper Simpson, who puts it back towards the direction of Horne-Francis. A comedy of errors as Young strips Jones of the footy, and finally a free kick will be paid in the Port Adelaide direction after Voss lost control of it, and Houston is able to clean things up for Port Adelaide.
He is. He finds Mead, who kicks it back to Houston, so a little bit of waxing. Houston, who spots something he likes in the centre of the ground. It has to be a perfect kick, and it is to Zerk Thatcher, who handballs it to Drew, who's under too much pressure. Hayden Young turns it over. Johnson is able to get it a little wider. He finds Sharp, who kicks it inside 50, but Ratugolea, again, that hamstring seems to be okay. Thankfully, it's likely just a cramp, but he takes a fine intercept mark, kicks it wide and sideways to Burgoyne, who kicks it to Evans, who's come a long way up the ground. Now he's going to bang it down the line as well. Doesn't go wide, kicks it to the side or the angle of the centre square. Fremantle are able to win the ball back and go directly across ground. Michael Walters is on the end of it. He takes a nice chest mark and then kicks it in the aim of a teammate, but again, Alier. And I'll tell you what, Coxie, Alier and Ratugolea, they haven't marked everything, but they've been in position to make a play on a lot of footy. And our man on top of the garden shed has said it's time for a can.
Yes, he's opened it up. I'm kind of envious of him, actually, as it's thrown in. Horne-Francis rose the contest, curls the footy around to Mead. It was great visioning, great placement with the kick. Mead, as the field runs past him, assesses and goes to Sweet, centre wing on the broadcast side. Sweet gives the handball off to Drew, running along the boundary side of him, and the kick just makes Ollie Lord, who was presenting at half forward. He's tighter than a 45-degree angle and too far out to score, so he bobs it up. In the end, was the wrong decision. Hughes came in, took the intercept mark. Short ball to Switkowski to Aish as they open things up. This is when Freo have looked the most dangerous. Young to Brayshaw, and now with room to move is Sturt running inside 50. Ball bounces nicely for him, but the kick lets him down horribly. Out on the full. It was all ahead of him. There was no one in front of him. and he went to the area where there's no posts lined up on the ground. Fremantle trailing by 37 points, and we all should also mention Sean Darcy has been managed out of the game. He won't take any further part. There's no issue with him, though. He's just going to sit on the behind.
The big guys being looked after, which is a good idea. Aish is able to pick up the footy. It was banged out wide in his direction. He handballs it to Tracy, who hasn't had much impact in this game. He'll compete in the ruck against Sweet, though. Both ruckmen try to swipe it in the same direction. The ball goes over the boundary line, and out of bounds will have a throw-in smack bang on centre wing.
And the Darcy management is interesting because Reedy is probably now the predominant ruckman out on the ground because Jackson isn't playing tonight from concussion, and Tracy is the other one pinch hitting.
Yeah, that's right. So they'll be a little light on for rucks. Fife gets it to Hayden Young, but Horn Francis, who's been very dynamic around the ball in this third term, gets him, and we'll have another ball up. Tracy and Sweet go at it. Boat is the first to get hands on the footy, and he's tackled strongly by Switkowski, who's come up as a high half forward. The ball's thrown up again. Horn Francis first hands on it. He's able to spin and kick it long and high, but James Aish in position 1A. He's able to outmark McEntee, and he'll put the ball back inside forward 50 for Fremantle. Alir comes at it, can't mark. Walters fends off, gets a handball out to Sturt, who hasn't had a great 2 minutes because he's tackled by Alir, and the umpire says you were holding the ball, you tried to fend off, and when you do that, that's your prior opportunity gone. He kicks it sideways to Zerk Thatcher, who was in his defensive goal square. He kicks it sideways and short to Farrell. Fremantle elect not to guard the mark. Farrell says, I'm not going to be sucked into playing on. I'm going to kick it short to the hard-running captain, Connor Rosey, who kicks it to Mead. So a nice little chain of uncontested marks here for Port Adelaide. Another one to Farrell. They're more than happy to just play some tempo footy. Some teams call this amber, because when the light's amber, Coxie, you just got to go a little bit slower.
Well, you're supposed to anyway. Ball inside
you don't,
the middle.
Most of us do.
Very good, legal and observant on the road. Thank you very much. As Mead flicks the handball in, although there's a whole lot of whistles going on. Probably because they've been pulled up at the amber light. Horn Francis to come back. Sweet will be the free kick. Port Adelaide faithful not happy in the background. It does have that suburban footy feel to it at Alberton Oval tonight. Port Adelaide leading by 37 points. We're into time on third term as Sweet goes wide to Burton, who elects to come back inboard to Zerk Thatcher, who pokes it short to Houston. He's inside the centre circles of Alberton Oval. All-Australian last year, comes wide to Ollie Wines. Attacking side of the broadcast wing. It's been a nice build-up, but what do they do from here? Burton elects to retreat some ground as they just assess things now, Port Adelaide. Everyone is in their half of the field. Farrell loads it up high, inside 50. Darcy with the one juke, stuck it out, couldn't bring it in. Rioli went off the ground. It dribbles over the boundary line and out of play. We'll throw it in inside attacking 50 for Port Adelaide. With around 4.5 minutes on the clock for Tyre Power, your trusted Aussie-owned tyre experts in this third quarter. It's been all Port Adelaide on the scoreboard. They lead by 37 points. Dixon down to Rioli, just out of his grasp. Hughes was breaking away as the whistle sounded, and it'll be a Fremantle free kick. Jordan Clark, the recipient, and he'll come across the face of goal to Warner, who takes the mark just inside defensive 50.
So Warner called to play on. Handballs to Aish, who's wearing the glove on the left hand. He kicks to Brayshaw, who drops a sitter, slippery footy. Bergman gets it from Boak, who gives it back to Boak. Boak bangs it long to the top of the goal square. Charlie's there by himself, and he takes the easiest of marks, points to the goal square because he missed one from not far beyond that. And he says to the umpire, look, can you just put me in the goal square? because I won't miss this.
It's pre-season. Make it easy. Only
Just-
had a stud in it, but
Just give me an easy one. Charlie takes a couple of deep breaths underneath that big, dark red beard of his. Comes in and goes bang, kicks it straight through the middle, up into the net behind the goals. And big Charlie Dixon extends the lead for the Power. 11-10-76. Leading Fremantle 5-3-33. And it was a nice build-up. Boak had it a couple of times. Bergman, who's an impressive young player. Boak was able to kick it long to the goal square. Fremantle defenders caught out of position from a quick turnover. Dixon was able to get out the back, take a nice mark and kick truly. And Coxie, Port Adelaide's first month. West Coast at home. If that's not a win, there's trouble. Richmond at the G, Melbourne in Adelaide, and Essendon in Adelaide. So not too bad a start for them.
And the way that they've built this advantage tonight, I think JJ's just maintaining possession and then flicking the switch at the right time. They've been making better decisions as the night's worn on, as Fremantle will win this clearance out of the middle. Ace delivers it beautifully to centre-half forward, where Tabata takes the mark. And he'll load up high, inside attacking 50. Alir with the late fly, brings it to ground. It's a bouncing ball. Brayshaw collects, almost ran into his teammate. As Fife outside 50 received the handball, went back in towards the pocket. Tracy couldn't complete the mark, but will receive the handball from Voss. Had to do the look away to O'Meara to Fife. They've run themselves into trouble here. Tackle laid on by Evans, not rewarded, a ball up, and that's the difference tonight. Fremantle just can't seem to make the right decisions, or when they try to use the speed, it's almost like the cogs haven't quite caught up with how they want to fit everything together, because they seem to be caught out of position when they want to go.
Yeah, and give some credit to Port. They've tackled really well tonight. Ball spills to Drew. He flicks it over the top to Rosé, who gets taken almost in a 360 by Switkowski, but does break the tackle. Warner almost takes the intercept mark, can't do so. Burne-Jones gets it to Evans, who throws it on his boot. Luke Ryan comes to meet it, sticks the foot at it, then leaves it behind. Handballs it back to Warner, who gives it to Sarong, who's helping mop up. He finds O'Meara, who's been quiet tonight, right in front of the Port crowd, lined up along the fence. 2 minutes to go here in the third term. O'Meara kicks it long, but there's a free kick going the way of Zerk Thatcher, who was shoved out of the contest. He probably helped the umpire make the decision, but it certainly looked like it was there. He kicks it sideways and backwards to Alir, who does the same to Radaglia. He says, I'll run off my mark and kick it to the exact opposite side of the ground to Burton. And with 100 seconds remaining, the signs have gone up on the interchange. It's amazing that both teams hold the same sign up. You'd think you just let one bloke do it and let the other one have a rest, but they both seem to do the job. Travis Boak's got the footy. He's happy to kick it backwards again to Burton. He goes wide and long to Zerk Thatcher. He flicks it over the top by hand to Bergman, who's got space. An impressive athlete. He thumps the ball inside forward 50 to Dixon, who gets two hands on the footy. Could have been given the mark, wasn't. Ryan picks it up, handballs it to Reedy. Fremantle wanted to go over the line, but they can't get it over the line. Finally, they're tackled. Ryan, it is, tackled by Evans. And, gee, that looked a mark to Big Charlie.
Yeah, well,
and or a free kick.
Would have given it to him, given it was the pre-season at the minimum. Just the effort to get to that point, given how high and quick the ball came in from Bergman. He competes in the ruck. Dixon down to Fife, who almost gave it to Pearce. And Warner lets it trickle over the boundary line. Had no intent to pick it up whatsoever.
That's as deliberate as any knock-on. Deliberately not touching the ball so that it goes over the boundary line. Same.
They can all take a breath.
Indeed.
It's getting to the point in the night where they're just starting to blow up. As Rioli gets dumped into the ground, Hughes infringing. And Rioli will take the free kick. And he hasn't had a great night in front of goal either, Willie Rioli. He's
has been dangerous.
He has.
has been dangerous, looked energetic, doesn't always, look fully engaged in the game, but had a couple of, fortuitous deflections and moments in the first half. So 8 disposals coming up for his 9th. He's kicked 2 goals. So if he can kick this one, he's more than done his job.
As we approach the three-quarter time siren, Rioli on the runway. Again, it just came off the side of the boot. And that's what you were talking about earlier tonight, JJ. For those that didn't hear, as we hit three-quarter time, 43 points the margin. In fact, it's crept up to 44 points for Port Adelaide, but it's to do with the yellow footy. The yellow Sherrin is the problem, according to you.
Whatever they paint the footy with, it's shinier, it's harder to kick, and the shape of the yellow ball is different to the red footy. Don't ask me why, but just trust me. If you're ever going to listen to me and trust me on that.
And if you know why, send through a text.
If you work at Sherrin, let us know.
0433 98 11 16. It's three-quarter time in the AAMI Community Series match. Port Adelaide and Fremantle. It's Port Adelaide by 44 points on the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre expert scoreboard. You're listening to AFL Nation for Macca's, the new McCrispy at McDonald's.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's.
Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
Luxury Escapes, the world's best holidays, handpicked by experts. Here's your burst of luxury to book now.
Best-selling Pullman Bali Legian Beach. Escape to this beachfront resort and enjoy daily breakfast, nightly cocktails and massages. Pullman Bali Legian Beach. 7 nights from $1,399 for 2 adults. 1 child under 11 stays free. Valued at up to $2,798. T&Cs apply.
Book at luxuryescapes.com.
Summer's always hot when you ask your plumber to install a ream, building Aussie tough water heaters for over 80 years. But if you're looking to keep cool this summer, with these giveaways you can. Chill on the beach in your own Ream-branded Cool Cabana or Ream Budgie Smugglers. But hurry, there's just 10 Ream-branded Cool Cabanas to give away. To register now for your chance to win, visit iCanWin.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Just going to grab some more beers. Pause it for me?
No way, mate. We're not pausing live sport. He's about to get his ton.
Nah, it'll be all right. Oh, what? Oh, no. Did I miss it? Come on, mate. You've got to rewind it, please.
Oh, not a chance, mate. You can catch it on the highlights reel. You won't miss a moment if you drink wise.
Yes! See that?
Oh, sorry. Was just checking out Roofing and Sheet Metal Centre's new online store. They've got everything for your roof. Check it out.
Hey, that's pretty flash.
Oh, yeah. And you can draw up your custom flashing too. And they deliver around Melbourne.
Roof repairs just got easier with Roofing and Sheet Metal Centre's new online store. For roofing products including roof sheets, gutters and downpipes, visit rscentre.com.au. Roofing and Sheet Metal Centre. Everything sheet metal from the roof down.
Experience the excitement of Melbourne's newest sporting team, Melbourne Mavericks.
And tickets are now available for Mavericks versus the Vixens at John Cain Arena Sunday, April 14.
Be a Maverick. Strong, fearless, a trailblazer. Tickets available at melbournemavericks.com.
Your Mercedes-Benz. It's the very definition of a prestige German vehicle, epitomised by the iconic 3-point star. But should you bend your Mercedes-Benz, Charlie Battisti & Co. will ensure your star shines again, restoring your vehicle to pristine condition. That's what you can expect from a dealer-approved repairer of Mercedes-Benz with over 35 years' experience. CharlieBattisti.com.au, Melbourne's finest facility for the repair of prestige German vehicles.
Do deals these days feel like they're not good enough? Well, here at Tango Energy, we're turning energy prices on their head. That's right. At Tango Energy, we have some shockingly low energy rates you might find hard to beat. And while we've been turning prices upside down, we've also made switching to Tango easy. Now you can switch in minutes using our online signer. Want to see if you could save? Head over to tangoenergy.com and see the low rates for yourself.
Tango Energy.
New Fire Coat is the first paint proven to help protect property in high-risk fire conditions. Fire Coat paint helps stop the spread of flames on treated areas to combat the loss so many face. Find out more at fsafirecoat.com.au, available at Bunnings Warehouse.
Right now at Macca's, go large or medium or small. This month, get any soft drink, any size for just $1. Value means more at Macca's.
Available at participating restaurants. Excludes McDelivery. Excludes frozen soft drinks.
You're listening to the 2024 AAMI Community Series on AFL Nation.
Ball to ground for Boak to Dixon. Lobbed it up in the direction of Rosie. Had Drew running past, who puts it over the top of the goal umpire's hat. Wines mopping up the spilled footy. It's curled around from the boundary line. Darcy Byrne-Jones, the impossible, that kicked 5 behinds in a row. And the hardest shot of them all is converted by Darcy Byrne-Jones. Finally, a major to see the margin go out to 31 points, game high. And it got out to 44 as we welcome you back to this pre-season match on AFL Nation for McDonald's, the new McCrispy at Macca's. Matthew Cox alongside Josh Jenkins, who's righted himself after getting all tangled there. And I'm not letting you get away with that, JJ. You nearly broke the first headset for 2024.
It's like it took me back to my days fishing on the Murray River with the fishing line just all over the place. Couldn't get it untangled, but I've corrected the situation and we can resume hostilities. But yeah, certainly a great dominance from Port Adelaide in that third quarter. Didn't put it on the scoreboard in the first 5 or so minutes, but were able to in the second half as Ivan Soldo goes flying through. Doesn't make any contact at the first centre bounce. Hayden Young, who's been good, is stripped of the footy by Horn Francis. The ball's kicked close to the forward 50. McEntee picks it up, gives it to Evans, who handballs it in the vicinity of Byrne-Jones. He handballs it over the top to Wines. Can't quite find it. Evades one tackle. Can't evade Jordan Clark's tackle, and he's gone. Holding the footy, and wisely, Hayden Young decides not to take advantage. Allows teammate Jordan Clark to find Aish, who plays on, wants to give it to Clark, decides not to, gives it to Pearce, who then gives it to Clark. He's under pressure, but he's able to collect the footy. He finds Sarong, the Brayshaw it is in fact, who, it's a bit of a wayward handball, but he follows up, kicks it forward, gets it eventually to Fife, who gives the footy back to Banfield, who I think's been injected into this game in the final term, and he gets a couple of nice disposals, so he'll be feeling good about himself, and spots up Michael Walters inside forward 50, who'll go back for a goal that he would normally kick, Coxie.
He would.
It's always good when you're calling your first game and players are coming in off the bench at three-quarter time. Makes life a lot easier.
Just to make off the 8-man, he's a change bench as well. Banfield, first time we got a glimpse of him tonight.
So Walters comes in deliberately and kicks truly, and he gets his second major for the evening. He's been dangerous enough. He's always good for his 30, 35 goals per year, and he looks like he's ready to go. And it was a nice build-up from Banfield. Fresh legs always helps. Fife just said, I'll give it back to you. You haven't played yet, so you're fresh. And spotted up Michael Walters, who has always been a nice, reliable kick for goal, and he kicks truly and gets Fremantle's 6th goal. They trail Port Adelaide 11-11-77 to 6-3-39. Freo's first month of the year. Brisbane in Perth, that's going to be tough. North at Marvel, 50-50 you'd probably think. Adelaide in Perth, and the Blues for gather round in Adelaide. That's a tough start.
It'll give us a good gauge of where Fremantle sits.
What if they're zip and fall?
Well, Justin Longmuir may have a bit extra attention at the media conferences post-game, I would suggest, as Young extracted it out of the grasp of Horn Francis. Not sure how he did it, but he did. To Fife, inside 50. Alir knocks it out of the grasp of Taberner, collected by Farrell. Flicked it to Houston, who went searching for Williams, who's also on for the first time tonight. Some new numbers out onto the ground as Horn Francis didn't complete the mark. Coughed it up to Hayden Young, who sprays it to the right-hand side for a minus score. But this 1-goal in this final term for Fremantle, it's their first scores in the second half, given Port Adelaide kicked 4 goals, 5 in that third quarter. The margin is 37 points for Tyre Power, your trusted Aussie-owned tyre experts. As Farrell goes short, not the distance to Williams, and maybe not really rising to the intensity of the match, given he's just come on. Another cough up. Williams has another crack along the boundary line. He flirted with it. Aish tries to flick it back to McDonald, who had an issue, to Aish, who had a bigger issue, closed down by Willem Drew. Burgoyne to Horn Francis, and now some clear air for Port Adelaide. Soldo wanted to give it to the running Houston. He did just that. Found Horn Francis. He got tripped over. Free kick advantage paid to Houston from beyond 50 into the pocket. Dixon will gather from the fumbling Fremantle defence. He hooks it across the face of goal. It was gathered up by Francis Evans. Geez, they're playing with it, Port Adelaide. Bowen Jones, his kick smothered. Another opportunity for Evans as he goes to ground. Picked up by Boak. Flicks the handball to Ollie Wines, who goes, I've had enough of this, but then curls it into the pocket. Nowhere near the goal. Pearce keeps it in play. It's a comedy of errors. Brayshaw's going to settle things down by finally taking a mark, JJ.
He is. Take a breath, Coxie. It was a long, difficult passage of play, and that was just for you. Imagine being out there amongst it.
Would have hated it.
It was messy. Anyway, Fremantle through Aish are able to bang it to centre wing. Reedy does the roving, which is a little strange because he's 206 centimetres.
Didn't do a bad job, though.
Not sure how much he weighs, of course. I'm not allowed to know. Soldo beats him in the ruck. Gets it at ground level. Banfield, who's been busy since coming on into the game at three-quarter time, kicks it forward. Tracy stays on his feet, squares it up, does find a teammate. Boak gets in between he and O'Meara, though. Boak's able to gather it, gets tackled by Walters. Right to tackle, finds Houston, who finds the outlet, uncontested mark to teammate Darcy Byrne-Jones, who says, thanks for that, mate. I'll give it straight back to you. You can have another disposal. He kicks it across the ground to Alir. Takes an easy mark. He chips it back inside to Zirk Thatcher. The recruits have teamed up quite well, both defensively and with ball in hand. They've been eager to kick it to each other, which is good of them. Zirk Thatcher goes short and wide to Burgoyne, who says, I'll just take 50 metres with a long kick down the line. Lord comes up and meets it, can't mark it. Marshall gets tackled but slings his boot onto it. Mead marks it, gives it to Wines, who handballs it to Willem Drew, and going back with great courage in front of the much bigger man is McEntee. Alex Pearce was coming forward. He may have looked after the little man a little bit, but certainly great courage from McEntee. It was a nice build-up from Port Adelaide. McEntee says, I'm going to find a teammate in a better position. And he does just that, which is Mead. And he thinks about passing it off as well. Someone just have a shot. Mead's been busy, coming up for disposal number 19. He's had the 8 score involvements. Of course, he'd add to that if he's able to score here. But he's been busy, the young man, who's played 18 games, just kicked the 3 majors, but looks a likely type. He comes in directly in front from 40 metres. He looks like he has, dare I say it, sliced it across the face. And Port Adelaide move to 11-12-78. They lead Fremantle 6-4-40. The margin is 38 points.
Played almost 8 minutes in this final term. This Community Series match at Alberton. Burton creates the turnover on the wing outer side. Farrell received the handball from Burgoyne. He just put a little too much on the kick. Rosie went off the carpet, but it's going to come back the other way courtesy of Hughes. Series of handballs. Clark, they didn't get the cleanest one away. Farrell amongst the interception to Wines. Short ball is okay to Boak. Pokes it inside, attacking 50. And those bright fluoro bluish boots, well, they're not even really fluoro, but they're
bright.
They are.
There might be a little Asics number
of Jed McEntee on a 45-degree angle. Will kick from a similar distance, 45 metres out.
Warner's wearing the same pair as he stands the mark.
Yeah, must have done a deal. McEntee on the runway. This time he takes the set shot, and again it's out to the right.
Slice. I'm telling you.
Well, it's either that or they're relying on the breeze, which was coming into their from that position, coming into their face.
Did nothing there.
No, and looking at the trees in the background, looks it's dead still.
3/4 time, the wind said, I've had enough as well.
Packed up and went home.
Zerk Thatcher gets a big ride on the back of Banfield. He can't take the mark. Banfield tries to butter up. Boat is involved as well. He is happy enough to see the ball go across the boundary line and out of bounds.
Zerk Thatcher looks to be playing with a little more freedom.
Yeah, well, I guess when you've got Alir and Radical Leah, he's been freed up to...
He doesn't have the pressure that was on him at Essendon to be that number one defender.
Yeah, and I think he's going to flourish in that role. Boat flicks it over his shoulder in the direction of Rosie. He can't find the footy. Brayshaw dived on the ball. McEntee dived on him, but the umpire was friendly enough and said, let's ball it up. So he does. Sweet hits it down to Young. Young bangs it on the left foot, which is his preferred foot. Goes out the back, gets past Jones as well. Taberner's trying to get involved. The ball that was kicked by Hayden Young's gone about 90 metres. But the ever cool and calm Dan Houston finds teammate. Ends up in the hands of Bergman. Got a lot of time for this young man. He's a rangy athlete. He's a dynamic athlete. He's a good mark. Kicks it back to Houston. Burton it was. He kicks it. In fact, it was Houston. He kicks it to Burton. It's always good when the player that you've mistaken is the player that receives it. You've got nowhere to hide.
It's pre-season for everyone.
He kicks it back to Bergman. These guys are just having a lend of us now. Kicking it back and forwards. He shanks it. Sarong intercepts the ball 60 metres from home. Port have got all the numbers back, but Sarong said, I'll try and pick one off. But as I said, Port had all the numbers back, and Bergman says, I'll have it back.
So inside defensive 50, 11 to play in this final term. Margin 38 points in favour of Port Adelaide. A high kick into the path of Young, who didn't complete the mark. Tracy was able to get the handball away in the end. Williams came up with it, though, for Port Adelaide from ground level. Finds Burn-Jones on the outer side.
Rosie's a little worse for wear, just in the back play. Might have just got a knock. I'll keep an eye on him.
And that comes off the back of Butters being out of the game very early on with that right ankle. Nothing too sinister. It was taken out as a precaution, but still never nice to come away with an injury concern from a practice game as Burgoyne pumps it inside, attacking 50. Not a great deal of purpose on the kick. Allowed Ryan to take the intercept mark. His kick probably let him down in the end to Sarong, who's coughed the handball up. Luckily, it bounced away from Lord. Wines mopping up. Rioli did the dummy and then bounces it towards goal, and it just sneaks in. We'd probably go to the arc if it was available to us, as it was very close to the padding, but it's gone through, and Willie Rioli's got 3. 12-12-84 plays 6-4-40 for Tyre Power, your trusted Aussie-owned tyre experts. And it's the one thing that I'm taking away, or one of the things I'm taking away from tonight's match, JJ, when it gets a little chaotic, that favours Port Adelaide.
Yeah, for sure. And we won't go to the Arc. It doesn't work at the MCG, so it won't work at Alberton.
It doesn't work at the Adelaide Oval.
It doesn't work in Adelaide entirely, but it looked like it did go through for a goal. Didn't hit the post. We see Sam Powell-Pepper in the outer. Of course, he'll serve a 4-match suspension. Ball's bounced nicely by the umpire. Sweets up. Gets it down in the direction of Drew, who finds Horne-Francis. He tries to find Burton, who can't quite take the footy. Tracy, who's playing in the ruck, bangs it inside forward 50. But Lockie Jones, who just complains of a sore foot initially, but then spots up Horne-Francis, who's been very good in the second half. He kicks it out wide to Williams. A nice leg tattoo. Looks like an addition over the summer. Must have been bored. He kicks it on the left foot. Long down that line. The way Port Adelaide like to. Fremantle are there, but Horne-Francis is able to get first hand on it. He gives it back to Drew, who kicks it right across the ground from one side of the centre square to the other to Burgoyne, who's out on that wing. He finds Darcy Byrne-Jones on a nice lead out wide. He'll just slow it down. Under 9 minutes remaining in this game. Port up by 44 points. You'd imagine they're happy just to kick it around. He kicks it in the direction of Sweet. He gets first hands on it. Fife spoils him. Horne-Francis is there. O'Meara handballs it back. It's banged forward over the hands, or off the hands of Sharp and his opponent, Burton, or Zirk Thatcher it is, and the ball goes out of bounds and will be thrown in. And these players look tired, and they look like they've almost had enough.
Probably a similar sort of response in the commentary box, if I'm being completely honest. 12-12-84, Port Adelaide to Fremantle, 6-4-40. As Drew fends the tackle off, releases the handball to Burgoyne, to Houston, who goes towards half forward with the kick. Mark will be taken by Rosie, so he's back on his feet and okay. Horne-Francis, who's been superb in this second half, delivers it to Willie Rioli, who's going to go back and have a set shot on a 45-degree angle. Man on the mark stands 30 metres out. But Horne-Francis mentioned it, I reckon, in the second quarter as he was just starting to get going. Third quarter, he was brilliant. That explosive ability away from the contest that he has become renowned for is coming even more to the fore, at least in this practice match, as Rioli again pushes it to the right. And what was it, JJ?
Slice. I'm getting sick of saying it, but it keeps happening. I think Horne-Francis would have really benefited. So if we cast our minds back to when he moved from North to Port, he had the double hamstring surgery. So he didn't take part in much of a pre-season, but I think he's had a full pre-season, and Port Adelaide train really hard. They run a lot, back from when Darren Burgess was there. He instilled in these guys that they can run, and it's always hot in Adelaide. So he's probably acclimatised to that, and he looks the goods as Sweet and Reedy go at it. Burgoyne puts his head over the footy, wins a free kick for high contact. Handballs it to Houston, who's always in the area. He kicks it inside forward 50 deliberately. It's a big contest from McEntee, who is a likely type. He handballs it to Byrne-Jones, who looks for Rosie, can't find him. Ends up in the hands of Hayden Young, who gets onto that trusty left foot, kicks it wide to the wing. Alira gets hands on it, can't mark. Williams handballs it back to Burgoyne. He bangs it inside only as far as Aish, who says, let's go. We've only kicked 6 goals. We need to score more than that, but that's a terrible kick. It's intercepted by Connor Rosie, but it didn't go far enough. He's tackled immediately by Clark, and the umpire says, I'll give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to ball it up. Sweet grabs it. He's tackled straight away. I think it was holding the ball. The umpire says play on. Basically do what you like at this stage. Fife ends up with it. Handballs it over the top. It's banged forward. It's banged forward beautifully. It's a cracking goal. It is.
The youngster.
The youngster, Cooper Simpson. Forgive us, Cooper. Forgive us. You're a young man, but I tell you what, if you keep kicking goals like that, it's going to be a long career. The first pick in last year's draft for them, and that was the best passage of play we've seen from Fremantle. It was from a free kick where they took advantage. Hayden Young again involved, found the dual Brownlow medalist in Fife, who found Simpson, who said, I'm going to run right at 50 metres and go bang, kicked it over the goal umpire's head. A beautiful finish, and I would say, Coxie, the nicest piece of play we've seen from Fremantle all night.
Play of the day, if we were awarding that from a Fremantle perspective. And he's wearing the famous 29 for Fremantle, young Cooper Simpson.
I almost called him Pav.
Which was one of the names we were throwing at the dartboard as we tried to work out who the youngster was. Pick 35 as Horn Francis wins the free kick. He continues to work hard, even in the late stage of the game. Rosie, Wines, linking up by hand. Burgoyne, it bounced awkwardly for him. He lays the tackle on Simpson. Wines comes up with it to Rosie, who runs to 45 and it fades to the left. Didn't make the distance either. Pearce gives it down to O'Meara. And Fremantle work it clear to the outer side. Was there a little shove in the back? No, a mark to Jeremy Sharp, the former Sun. He goes short to Draper. First time we've caught a glimpse of him tonight. Joshua Draper for the Fremantle Dockers.
Yeah, big 6'5" youngster. Looks like he needs to put on some weight. No doubt about that.
And maybe work on his kicking and judgment, because Alir's taken the mark and should know never to kick it into the vicinity when Alir is standing nearby.
No, and now you've got not only Alir but Radigalia. Alir bangs it forward. Marshall can't mark. It was an awkward one in slips. He didn't know fingers up or fingers down. Rosie says, pick the footy up, kick it inside 50 to Dixon. Could have been front on contact, wasn't. Rioli's there, but he's closely guarded and watched by Erasmus, who has also come into the game. So Fremantle said, well, good luck, you guys. We're going to put 5 or 6 into the game that haven't played. They've absolutely shut up shop for the night. Ball's thrown in. Dixon, ruck's uncontested, grabs it out of the ruck, throws it on the boot, and it lands just beside the point post, inside the boundary line, and will be thrown up. Dixon's a little proppy after that contest, but he'll compete in the ruck here. Ruckman wrap up. That could be a free kick to Dixon. I reckon it will be. Reedy, the young man, giving away kilos, not height, but certainly kilos, and we're only guessing. But Big Charlie just worked him out of position, and he'll line up at goal. He had a shot at goal from a ruck free kick in the first quarter. He's had 11 disposals, 10 hitouts, and has kicked 1 goal. So he'll be happy to go home with a couple. He lines up with that familiar, deliberate approach. He goes bang. No issues there for Big Charlie. So a dozen touches, 10 hitouts and a couple of goals. That's a nice return for the big fella, and Port Adelaide extend their lead late in this contest. 13-13-91. Lead Fremantle 7-4-46. And Coxie, if you're a Dockers fan and you want to take something from the game, you're trying to take not much from the game because it's only pre-season, but their scoring power doesn't look to have improved much at all.
No, and we know that Jackson's not playing tonight, which has had a knock-on effect. Amos is not playing tonight, which also has a knock-on effect to how that forward structure looks. But with Tabernar up there, Tracy didn't do much when he was playing up there in the first half.
Both have been very quiet.
It just doesn't...
No Frederick as well.
Yeah.
So there are excuses for them, but 7 goals is not a great return.
And it feels to me symptomatic of they just don't look like they're clicking or gelling at the moment, Fremantle, as they go inside 50. Here's an opportunity for Sturd. He elected to go sideways. And the mark is taken by Sharp. The supplemental period selection made by Fremantle. The former Gold Coast Sun was part of the Suns' VFL Premiership last year. Played 23 AFL games across 4 seasons. After being selected to pick 27 in 2019, Jeremy Sharp has found his way to Fremantle. Now has a shot from goal. From 49 out on a 45-degree angle. There's a little consolation for the Dockers as it goes through for their 3rd goal of this final term, and indeed 3rd goal of this second half, because they didn't get a score in that 3rd quarter. trailing by 39 points for Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts. But it's the one concern for me coming out of the match, JJ, for the Dockers. It just... You can see they've tried to make subtle changes in the game plan. You can see they want to try and run with the ball a bit more, but it seems as though it's still catching them out and they're not quite adjusted to that tempo.
And it is hard by us to judge them without Amos and, without Frederick. We know Schultz is gone, without Jackson. So the best part of their forward line is not there. So it's hard to judge them, but certainly... one of their woes last year was the ball movement. They were fremantle for a lot of last year, and we haven't necessarily seen them change that a lot. One guy who has is Hayden Young, and he gets the clearance again, kicks it forward to Tracy, who meets the footy. He always competes. Well, that's a wayward handball from the big guy. It's not going to be a super enjoyable flight home for him. The big boy from Kahuna, up near Swan Hill, lovely part of the world, Coxie, on the Murray River. Be about 43 degrees tomorrow, I'm guessing, but he hasn't had the greatest of evenings. Sweet and Reedy go at it. Sweet gets the hit out down with the left hand. Sarong's after it. Young again gets it to Walters. He goes for the underground kick, which is successful. He finds Simpson, who kicks it to the top of the square. Banfield tries to get after it. Banfield looks remarkably similar to Sam Simpson, the former Cat. Remarkably. Need to see both of them in the same room at the same time. We'll have a throw in. 3 minutes remaining. Ball's thrown in. Sweet and Reedy go at it. Reedy picks it up or throws it. Drew gets a hold of it. Bo handballs it to Wines. Familiar faces. Wines is able to step around a tackler. Throws it on the boot. Big contest coming up. Aish is involved. The youngster who's just come onto the ground gets it back to Young, who thumps it again. Tell you what, when he makes contact with the footy, Hayden Young, he makes proper contact. He's had 4 or 5 shots at goal, and Coxie, if he is to move into the midfield, and based on what I've seen tonight, there's no way I'm putting him back to half back. He's going to be a scorer as well, and a score involvements guy, and they're the best type of midfielders.
Would you say just have a little more composure maybe based on what we've seen tonight as Sweet takes the mark, as Port Adelaide go up the ground?
He'll get more comfortable being under more pressure, because at half back you're often under a little bit less pressure. You're getting handball receives an uncontested mark. So I think he's the type of player who'll understand when he can and can't, have a bit more composure and steady himself. But I've loved what I've seen from him.
Fremantle turn it over on the broadcast wing, although Mead, he tried to slap it to the advantage of Sweets, and now there's a whole host of free kicks that could have been given away. The first one was a high tackle on Sweet, so it'll come back to him from Reedy, who's been a little loose in the last 5 minutes. I think the fatigue has got the better of the young ruckman for the Fremantle Dockers, who is third in line for that position. Done most of the ruck work in this second half after Darcy was taken out through management, as Horn Francis goes wide to Travis Boak. The two of them have been working pretty hard together during the off-season, and Horn Francis using the expertise of the legendary Port Adelaide former skipper, who's closing in on 350 games, the first power player in the AFL to achieve that.
Yeah,
Farrell now on the outer side.
He's just the consummate professional, Travis. He's dedicated his life to AFL footy. Has had few relationships, I believe. No kids. Just plays footy, lives footy, and he's going to reap the rewards of, I guess, the longest and greatest career in Port Adelaide history, I'd imagine.
How do you utilise him this year as Port Adelaide go inside attacking 50, and Dixon will clunk another mark with about 30 seconds to go? But where do you envisage Travis Boak lining up? He was used as a sub a lot towards the end of last year. Is that where we're going to see the most of him this year?
That's where I'd use him. I would, yeah. No doubt. If you get a couple of injuries, you'd use him there. But I would use him as the sub, no doubt about it. As Big Charlie looks to put a full stop on this one. He comes in for his third, and what's he done?
He sliced it, JJ.
He sliced it, Coxie.
Why has he sliced it?
Because the footies are slippery and pointy. Fremantle bring it back into play, and their best player on the night, Hayden Young, gets the last kick of the game as Walters takes a fine mark, but time runs out, and that's all she wrote from Alberton Oval. Port Adelaide, runaway 39-point victors, 13-14-92, defeat Fremantle, a familiar tale for them, just the 8 majors, 8-5-53. The Power too good at home, and they'll be happy as they roll toward the start of the 2024 AFL season.
That's all on the scoreboard for Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts. As the Port Adelaide song rings out around Alberton Oval, not for the first time in its history. Maybe, given it's the AFL side that's playing there.
Not familiar with the Magpies song, but
it's encouraging though for Port Adelaide as they look to rebound from that straight sets exit last year, and the pressure that was on Ken Hinkley for the most of 2023. They went on that 13-game winning streak in the midpoint of the year, then lost 4 in a row before rectifying things prior to the finals, and then had that 48-point loss in the qualifying final to Brisbane, and then the 23-point loss to GWS. But you felt like they'd used everything in the tank to get them to that point. The acquisitions that they've made during the trade period, we knew on paper that they fitted and plugged holes. The glimpse that we've caught of it tonight, and what we can read into it, we don't like to read too much into pre-season games, but what we can read into it, Radigalia is going to thrive so long as he remains healthy in that position, combining with Aliir. Zerk Thatcher is going to not have more responsibility, but you feel as if he's going to relish the fact that he's not the primary defender and can still play that match-up role, but do a little more intercepting and be a little freer in how he's deployed across that defensive line. So from a defensive lineup, from a Port Adelaide perspective, it looks very dangerous and very threatening now if they can all stay fit.
Yeah, well, they've got the size that they didn't have last year. So, you know, last year they lent on Tom Jonas, Tom Cleary. You know, both those guys are 6'1", 6'2". Now they've got Radigalia, who's 6'6". Aliir's about 6'5". And Zerk Thatcher's about 6'4" as well. So they've got genuine size. They'll work better and better and better together as things move along, but they already look like a really well-oiled machine back there. They've got Houston, who was fantastic tonight. Burton was good, 30 disposals for him. So I like what they've got constructed behind the footy. Still want to see what it looks like ahead of the ball. So tonight, you know, Dixon kicked a couple, Rioli kicked a few, but didn't see much from Lord. Marshall only had 8 disposals, so still want to see them evolve in the front half.
That's what the biggest question mark for me coming out of tonight still is, how those big boys work. The Crummers seem to work well tonight. McKenzie, Rioli, they all did a role. Mead was prominent at times. But how the big boys function all together seems to be the biggest question mark still for Port Adelaide to come out of the game. And the other one that we haven't mentioned, Trent McKenzie was an emergency tonight for Port Adelaide, so he can come back into that back six as well, which is another advantage for Port Adelaide. He came to great prominence towards the end of last year, suffered a few injuries which curtailed the end of his season, but he was one that was holding up the defence for a large portion of 2023, so he'll have a bit more freedom as well. But the Soldo Sweets experiment of interchanging as a direct swap, probably
I'd say, when they have to pick 23, they'll roll with Soldo and Dixon, but that'll be up to form, I think. Soldo doesn't have an absolute lock on it. I was surprised they were able to convince both guys to come to the same club, because you can't promise them both the number one ruck role, and from Jordan Sweet's perspective, I think he's probably good enough to be a number one ruck. He would think he is. And his manager should have said to him, let's go and find somewhere where you're going to get great opportunity. So it's an interesting little situation. Soldo has that injury history as well, of course, an ACL plus a few others. So Sweet's going to play some AFL footy, but he just wasn't going to get the opportunity at the Dogs behind Tim English. So you can understand the move. But I like the thing about Port is they're always, as we see Zach Butters with an interesting setup with his closed-over Birkenstocks on with a little ankle wrap. But
they look like premium Crocs for those.
I'm not sure what they are. I wouldn't be wearing them, Coxie, but I'm not Zach Butters, so I can't get away with it. But what I like about Port is they're aggressive in terms of their personnel, trading, free agency. They make the move to get Horn Francis. They make the move to get Radigalia, Zerk Thatcher. You know, they're aggressive. They go after what they want to do in the off-season, and it looks like it's going to pay off for them. How much? We don't know. They can't fix the wrongs of the straight sets exit for quite some time, but what they can do is start the season with a bang, and certainly based on tonight, they will.
West Coast they'll have in round one in 2 weeks' time at the Adelaide Oval because they won't be participating in opening round, while Fremantle will have Brisbane at Optus Stadium. The grand finalists of last year come up against the Dockers at home, and as we were pointing out towards the end of the match tonight, where they lost by 39 points, it just wasn't enough tonight, whether it be because of the personnel that was out there or the way that the game was being played. But you find it hard to read what's going to work for Fremantle in 2024. Apart from the Hayden Young experiment in the midfield, I don't think you can call it an experiment anymore, because I think that's going to be his position going forward, because he provided pace and he provided movement in that midfield where at times last year you could say it was stale. And Nat 5 looks like someone who's been reborn.
Yeah, he does. And that gives Dockers fans great hope that they'll have a really dominant midfield group. So Darcy and Jackson, you're going to have, you know, one of the premier combinations in the competition. Some say they've got a surplus of needs in the ruck, but it is great to have two guys who can really be dominant at different stages. You know, Fife, Sarong, Brayshaw at his best. Now Young. I'll be interested to see what they do with their wingers. The wingers have become really important in modern footy. You think of, you know, Ed Langdon, still side bottom, and guys that play on the wing all game. Blake Acres, you know, a really specific role these days. So I don't know. Aish plays there a bit. Clark's more a half back. So, you know, have Fremantle got a guy who can play out on the wing? I mean, there's no one jumping off the page at me when I look through the guys that played tonight. But you know, certainly those roles are up for grabs. Can a Switkowski play further up the ground and do so? Maybe. But certainly in the front half. I mean, I spoke to Paul Hazelby on the run home, WA, earlier today, and I sort of asked the question about Josh Tracy, and the West Australians love him, and I think they love him because he competes, and that's great, and I respect that. But at some point, you've got to be able to do more than compete. Competing is the minimum standard. Everyone's going to compete. You've got to be able to kick goals, and as a key forward, you need to be able to be able to kick, you know, 1.5 goals a game, and he goes at less than a goal a game. And just seeing vision here, Coxie, and you never ever, we can't hear what's being said, but don't really expect to see a quick in-house all of sort of team meeting 5 minutes after a pre-season game.
No, and
that's strange to you, isn't it?
It looks as though, so Justin Longmuir, he was talking to Luke Ryan and then Jordan Clark. So they're clearly picking out bits and pieces in the game to focus on.
Now we're reading the board.
Well, you were until they shut the camera down.
But you don't see... You talk, Coxie, because I can probably decipher some of that stuff on the board.
It looks a very sombre mood.
Probably not supposed to be saying this, but
you jot it down as it disappears on us again. It looked like a very sombre mood inside the change room, which is not what you want coming away from a pre-season match. Yes, you lost by 39 points. Yes, you didn't impact the scoreboard in the third quarter, but it feels as if you don't want to go too hard. At least for someone who's observing from the outside
the
after
strange,
a down year.
The strange part of it is to feel the need to have a conversation straight away. You know, to not even allow... These guys haven't even taken their jumpers off, their boots off. This is basically, they've walked in the rooms and clearly Justin Longmuir said, all right, boys, come straight in. Let's have a quick chat. You don't... Pre-season game.
It's like you've been belted after round 10.
Yeah, that's... Again, he might be saying, look, I love some of the things we did tonight. Now, I can't imagine he is, but he might be. But one of the things that was on the board that I was quickly able to write down was they were minus 24 at half turnovers. So I think he'd be, talking about their application, how much were they up for it tonight. I don't think... To me, it didn't look like they didn't have a crack. I actually think that their issues are personnel and system. I don't think it's necessarily them having a crack. And their defenders, I've been critical of their defenders for chipping it around, but it's a combination. They go hand in hand. You don't move the ball quick because you don't have any faith in what's ahead of the ball. And when you're ahead of the ball as a forward, you're thinking, well, we don't move the ball fast anyway, so what's the point of it all? So both elements just keep compounding on top of each other.
And then when they wanted to go tonight, players were all out of position.
Yeah.
No one was in the right spot when they... And a couple of times it linked up. The one that comes to mind, or the two that come to mind, was the Hayden Young in the first quarter where he broke clear, and then young Cooper Simpson in the final quarter where he scored the goal.
Yeah.
Where they were able to click. Those glimpses looked great, but they were too few and far between tonight for Fremantle. They just, every time they wanted to go, they'd either get unstuck trying to navigate their way through the traffic, or they'd just put it to an area where Port Adelaide were occupying and able to cause an intercept.
I'm just writing, having a look at their forward 6 or 7, and, we still list the team as in, half forward, full forward line, ruck. But their half forward line... Well, their forward group, right? Amos wasn't there, Jackson wasn't there, Frederick wasn't there. So those three are walk-ups. Amos is probably going to be good for, 45 to 50 goals a game. Tracy's the one that, and I know I'm probably harping on a young man who's still making his way, but they need him to be 35 goals. They need him to be 35 goals. They need him to compete and to make things happen. And he's less than a goal a game at the moment. I know he's young. He's only played 36 games. Jackson is not a natural forward. So they got a goal a game out of Jackson last year. He was in the All-Australian 40. Now, some of his best footy was played in the ruck, but I thought he was a massive tick for them last year. Frederick's got talent. Switkowski, I think, young player, 68 games, though. You need to start to see the best of him. There are, Walters is down there. They're one and a half forwards short. One of them might have been Lockie Schultz, who just left.
And the other one's Taberner, but he just doesn't seem to be able to get in consistency.
I think it comes down to Taberner and Tracy for that last spot. Taberner started the game okay and then completely went out of the game. Tracy, the thing about Tracy, again, the reason why I reckon Fremantle people stick up for him and why Perth people stick up for him is his application doesn't change from the start to the finish. And that's really admirable. I was often criticised for, in the first quarter you were energetic and bubbly, and then the second your energy dropped away. There's nothing more frustrating for fans and for coaches, for guys who seemingly don't try as hard all the way through. He does. He has a crack. I just think he's limited in terms of his skill set, in terms of picking the ball up off the ground, finding space on the lead, movement in terms of being able to take a defender up and turn him around and get out the back. I just think he relies purely on a big pack mark, and they're hard to take in AFL footy. So him and Taberner are going to have to fight it out for that spot, and they'll probably just have to play whichever guy's in better form. Problem is, tonight, if you're picking a team next week, who are you picking out of those two? I mean, you're probably looking at other options. So, that was a fascinating little... I'm sure that'll be talked about across the week, probably on this network and on Fox Footy, because it was a surprising thing to see on the back of a practice game.
On the back of a poor season on the back of a semi-final finish in 2022. So when you combine all those together, the final year of the contract for Justin Longmuir, and the other point that I found curious as well when preparing for tonight's game, Fremantle have got 15 players that are signed with the club through until 2026 or beyond. So a lot of the group that we're seeing
committed
is what is going to take Fremantle forward. And I walk away tonight going, I didn't see what I wanted to see from Fremantle.
I wouldn't feel good about. So I had Fremantle I had them maybe 14th, 15th. There's no way in the world I'm moving them up. I might be moving them down. And, you know, people get sick of us saying, we're not going to take anything from a practice match, but when seeing is believing as well. When you sit here and, you know, typically we're not watching the preseason games as intently as we would if we were at home on a Friday night watching the real thing. But when you're working on the game, you're locked in. You've read beforehand, so you're understanding what you think they want to do. And then when you marry that up with what you see and it's completely different, well, that's when you start to get worried. So, not a great night for Fremantle. But, I mean, come that Sunday afternoon when they play Brisbane, they're not going to be thinking about it. I've got a question for you quickly. The teams who play opening round, so Brisbane play opening round and then they get a big break. But do you think there'll be an emotional letdown for a team like Brisbane versus an emotional supercharge for a team like Fremantle, who it is their first game of the year?
Or do you go the other way and they've already got the runs in the legs from that opening round game?
Match hardened.
The intensity goes up another level because it is the official start of the season and it actually means something because you get 4 points.
We probably won't really know, will we? We'll be guessing, but
you look at teams that come off the bye in the middle of the year, and I know it gets a little overblown and the statistics don't really match up to what we kind of see, but teams that have the week off, they take a while to get going, whereas the others seem to hit the ground running. So I think there is going to be a slight advantage to those teams that will play in opening round next week. And it makes me scratch the head of, well, if you're going to play this opening round concept, why don't those 8 teams or however many are playing play each other the following week as well? So it's all kind of...
Yeah, it's a really strange... I find it a really strange concept overall. I understand why it's being done, but it still seems quite strange to me, particularly, you know,